Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing today? Black motherfucking power to everybody in attendance. Welcome back to Monday Mystery School. You already know how we do. Hit the like button on your way in and share this video with one of your friends. Yeah, that rhymes. And it's about that time to drop a motherfucking dime. But we ain't talking about to the sergeant. We talking about some knowledge that's sort of like a rewarding, some shit that have everybody applauding, some shit that you shouldn't be avoiding. I'm just enjoying this beautiful day. Now, let's hear what the guru got to say. Quick rhyme of the morning. Mystery school. Truth, get rid of them fools. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, let me quit playing, man. We got the ones out there that just say that the audio is good to go. Everybody know your boy hood for sure. When I was there, I stood in front of the store like, hey, let's go somewhere and smoke this. Smoke. I'm just fucking around, man. Good to see y'all up in the house. We're going to get right into today's Monday Mystery School. How about it? So, hey, today we're going to pretty much be continuing about the goddess armor. And I created a new word called Dogonology because the Dogon don't get enough props for what they know. And people always say, man, this brother always bringing up the Dogon. Well, the Dogon holds the keys to the deception because according to anthropologists and historians, the Dogon is a primitive tribe who taught that we come from the Sirius star system. And what make the Dogon so popular in the Western world is Westerners look at the Dogon and say, damn, how they know what our scientists know and they don't got all the big equipment. Think about it. If space is real and we live in a heliocentric universe, that was born from a big bang, and if the Dogon really teach that they come from Sirius star system out there in the stars somewhere, how do the Dogon know about stars that's so-called trillions of light years away without the technology to be able to detect it? So the Dogon has got popular in the Western world for the same reasons Jesus got popular. They're a miracle tribe. They don't supposed to know this stuff, but they know it. Now, there's a huge deception with that story surrounding the Dogon. And today, when we get into Dogonology, like we're about to do now, we're going to be getting into that mystery, opening up your eyes to the deception. Now, check this out. To those of you who advance, you know that the Dogon did not come from no star system, no Sirius star system. You know by now that the Dogon Conunga is their way of drawing a DNA strand. And that's where the Dogon said they come from. They said that DNA is the tree of life and that all DNA was created at the center of magnetism. That's what we're going to be talking about today. All right, so why did modern anthropologists and historians in the Western world in the 70s, about the 60s, 70s, during the Djibouti Dakar missions, I covered that. Around that time, Western anthropologists and scientists was going around to these tribes, corrupting their origin stories. Now, they wasn't going to these tribes necessarily with the mission of converting the tribe, even though we know they do that. They always go around and corrupt these tribes. Next thing you know, future generations be Catholic and Muslim, don't know none of their ancestry knowledge, just like us. That's another story. with the Dogonology missions, what was going on during that time? Western anthropologists and scientists was going all around the world corrupting ancient origin stories, because there was, even during that time, a awakening of the true origin story, the North Pole's talk and all that stuff that the ancients speak of. Walk with me, folks. We're going somewhere. You need to understand the nature of the deception. So Westerners was going around, and the mission was to make contact with these tribes so that they can come back to America and let us all know that they made contact with these tribes, and this is what they said. So the whole mission during the 60s and 70s, when these Western anthropologists was going around creating myths like the Nomo, like the Sirius origin bull crap, Marcel Gariol made that story. If you need to go and watch my video on Bro Sanchez TV if you don't know what I'm talking about with the Dogonology missions. In the 60s and 70s, they was doing a lot of corrupting, folks. And what they was doing, they was making contact with them people, because what was going on in the 60s and 70s, folks? You had an awakening in the 60s and 70s where a lot of hippie movements, little schools of thoughts like the People's Temple, even the 5% Nation was getting started around that time. A lot of these little groups was getting started in America, and what they was doing, a lot of Americans started to travel, and we stopped going to the Bahamas. And now we were taking trips to Egypt. Now we're going to South America looking at pyramids. Americans started to explore and make contact with different tribes. So what did the government do? The government sent their anthropologists around the world to make contact with these same tribes that held our true origin stories, so that they can control the translation of it. You had an organic movement of Americans making contact on their own, not no anthropologists that's funded by government to go and corrupt the shit that the people were saying and all that. You had regular people making contact, and regular people still doing it today. But what they teach and go on deaf ears, because they can't compete with the shit on Netflix. The shit that the government pushing from their mainstream anthropologists and historians and scientists. That war started in the 60s and 70s, even before that, but we just talking about in particular the race to going to mistranslate the ancient origin stories. People, think about this. The Bible is a mistranslation of ancient science, just like the Quran. This is how you hide the truth. You take the truth that was passed down for generations orally, and you print it in papyrus, and you translate it and transcribe it to make it say what the hell you want it to say. So the link was broken, and the Westerners didn't get the real cosmological sciences like the rest of the world was getting. Now, the deception has grown so big that the rest of the world is entering the same boat we entering. They're deleting this stuff. And how they're doing it is understand what happened and what was the missions in the 60s and 70s. You can see how they're doing it. See, King James became a translator or a mediator in between the westernized slaves or the westernized people over here and the true origin stories that was being spoken throughout the world in what they call third world areas and primitive areas. They have to keep us asleep over here in America by breaking the connection from the world, the outside world. And the same thing they doing to us, they starting to do to everybody else. So it's deeper when you see Americans going around attacking other places. It's deeper than resources. The mind is the most valuable resources that they've been warring over for years. That's why governments go to war, and the word government is governmental. They're warring for the mental ultimately. This is more valuable than any resource. You can't get the resource without the mine to what? Mine the gold, mine the oil. Humans are a resource. Morpheus told you that in the Matrix. So to control the human is to control the mind. Now, how do they do it? I'm trying to tell you here. So check this out. How do they break the link? So what they do, they send their anthropologists around the world. And the Dogon and these different tribes like the Amazonians and all them who still know the true shape of the earth and still know our true cosmological origins, none of you have never spoken to an Amazonian and you ain't spoken to a Dogon. But Western anthropologists have. So guess what they can say? They can tell you to shut the hell up because you don't know what you're talking about. Did you go and speak to the Dogon? Did you go over there and do a documentary with the Amazon people? No, so be quiet and let the anthropologists who got the money and the funding talk, because you can't talk because you didn't go. You didn't make contact. So now you see what I'm talking about. The race in the 60s and 70s for these Western anthropologists to go over there making contact and building relationships with quote unquote primitive people. And when they went over there, they didn't go over there to sing songs and to sip tea. The mission was mainly focused on cosmology and human origins. Let that shit sink into your head. Think, people. Think, people. Think. Out of all the things they could have went over there to talk about in the 60s and 70s with these quote-unquote primitive people, the smart Westerners went over there to talk to primitive people about cosmology. Think, people. With all our satellites, with all our space programs, when we go and unite with primitive people, we want to talk and learn about the cosmos from these people. With all our equipment. Why would you do that? They should be learning about it from us. We should be going over there to teach them, not to get information. So what was going on? Critical thinking. I need you to critical think. What was going on? What was the mission? Why they was going over there establishing relationship with them people? Why did all of a sudden there was this huge push of information about ancient origins coming out of these missions and interpretations of the Kananga and serious talk and normal talk? Why was all of that? Why did they want all of that coming out of them missions? Because that ain't what the Dogon told them fuckers when they went over there. Excuse my language, because this is where the deception come in. This is how they break the link. You don't know the language of the Dogon. You can't speak the Amazonian language. They take their asses over there and say, well, we talked to them. We translated their language and they said they come from the star system Sirius. When the Dogon don't have no word called Sirius in their vocabulary. All people over here went. How do you even know about the Dogon? Why did they single out the Dogon? Why is the Dogon popular? Why isn't the Twa? There's so many other Bushmen. There's so many other cultures you can name. The Jain people. Why ain't these tribes popular? Why the Dogon? The Dogon is the tribe that is the closest proximity to the Western world that still have contact to the hidden world. Let me say that again because I'm gonna need your critical thinking. Some of these tribes still go to areas that they deleted off of the Western world maps. So some of these tribes still have a connection to lands that we don't even know about today. They deleted them off our map. And some of these tribes with connections to those hidden lands are still connected to us today. And what separate you knowing that what these tribes know is a language barrier. You don't speak the Dogon language. So if they did come and tell you the truth about hidden lands they going to and different shit you don't know about, you wouldn't know how to translate it. And the only people that's saying they translating Dogon knowledge is these deceivers. Now y'all see what I'm talking about here. Everything that the Western world know about the Dogon and their cosmology come from a handful of Masonic anthropologists. That's the foundation of my lecture today. So as you keep that in your mind, we're going to get into what was hidden from you and what these Western anthropologists did not tell you. Because when you talk about the Dogon and the mystery of Amma and the cosmic egg, what I'm about to give you today, because I'm about to go the fuck in, and I'm about to give you what was hidden. I ain't coming here today to talk to you about space monkeys and niggas falling out the sky from Sirius. That's what the deceivers gave you, and that ain't what the Dogon told them deceivers. They can't see. Listen, the people that translated the Bible to the world, they didn't translate the Bible to the world. They mistranslated the Bible to the world so that they can hide the truth to you. It's not a translation, it's a mistranslation so that they can break the connection. Now, when you read the mistranslation, you don't know what the Dogon know. When you read the King James Bible, you don't know the real Bible that's carved in stone on these ancient temples all over the world. That was mistranslated in the text. So people, understand how deep the deception go and walk with me today so we can get some knowledge. Now, I'm not here today to give you the damn mistranslation. I'm here today to give you exactly what you would get from the Dogon if they translated the right way in our language. And unfortunately, what I'm going to give you ain't popular. Like I told you, what's popular is the mistranslation. Now, now today's lecture going to begin with this goddess behind me. Okay? And her name is Yemiya. Okay, she's an Orisha. You can look that up. One of the original Orishas was a primordial goddess by the name of Oshun. Now, Oshun translates to ocean, simple, and it's talking about the primordial waters. The primordial goddess was linked to the primordial waters, and each of these goddesses that came after the primordial goddess represent the different phases in creation of the cosmos, starting from a seed and growing into a huge tree called the North Pole Tree of Life today. So our cosmic egg has an origin story and a start point. From the point of conception being the seed to it being placed in the ground, they call that the Big Bang Theory. When that seed of the Most High was placed into the ground, that's the ripple effect. That's what created life. That's how a tree grows today. So planting the tree of life at the center of the church, at the center of the earth, had to be planted. And the planter represents the pivotal point of the earth. Think with me. Think with me. All right. If you play basketball, men, you know about basketball. What is a pivot foot? Let me teach the women because they may not know. See, women in basketball, look at my feet, right? In basketball, once you stop dribbling, you can only move by keeping your pivoting foot still. So the left foot in basketball is the pivoting foot. This is knowledge, people. Stay with me because you need to know this about the earth. The North Pole is a pivotal point. Now, in basketball, the basketball player has to move on the pivotal the basketball player has to move on a pivotal foot as a part of the rules. Otherwise, he will commit a violation called traveling. And the reason for that is to show you how the sun and moon is circling around a pivotal point, being this goddess behind me. And the way the basketball player moves on the pivotal foot is like this. So what do you notice during that rotation? It's the only foot that really moves is the right foot, but the left foot serves as an anchoring point or a pivotal point. If you ever use a protractor, this is how a protractor works. Now, once you move this foot, that's a violation. Now, I'm showing you this for a reason. Why is Brother Sanchez showing you about this pivotal point? Because that pivotal point represents the yolk in the middle of an egg. Now we're going to get into Dogonology. And particularly, the Dogons speak of the conception of the cosmos in the form of Ama's egg, and that is the seed of the universe. This egg is the seed of the universe. Now, this is associated with Yemaya because the name Yemaya is Imaya. Imaya. This was the goddess that the Mayan worshiped. All of the world worship Imaya or Yemaya. Now, the Dogon mother goddess Ama is Amaya, is basically Yemaya in a simplified form is simply Emma. Emma. Yem-e-ya. When you take the Y off the front and the Ya off the bottom, is simply Emma or Amma. Amaya, Emaya, Imaya. You can put any vowel there, it's still the goddess. Now, Amma is a synonym for mama in many cultures. So, this is the supreme being of the prehistoric world. All right. Now, what you're looking at is this the mother goddess basically breaking the egg open. People will mistranslate to you. They'll say that's Yemaya with the moon and the phases of the moon. But what does this mean before the moon was created? Take a minute and think about it. Take a minute and think about it. When you ask a Christian what let there be light mean before the sun was created, they don't know what to tell you. People think they know about this goddess, and they do know, but there's so much more to know. See, this is deeper than her holding up the phases of the moon, people. This is so deeper than that. This is them showing you that the moon serves as a anchoring point for the sun, and the pivotal point of them both is the North Pole. But check this out. The moon phases show you how to pivot. All the phases of the moon goes around a pivotal point called full moon and new moon. That's the climax of the slicing of these different phases or degrees that you're turning on that pivotal foot. That's what this goddess represents, a concept. So look beyond, what you got to think about is this. This goddess represents how the entire earth was created. And she represents the creation of the earth before the sun and moon existed. It wasn't created yet. It was steps to it. Now, before you can look in the Bible and they'll kind of give you these steps and show you when the sun and moon was created and all that. They just stealing and making their God be the one do it. But I'm showing you pre-corruption here. So prior to the sun and moon acting as the red shift, blue shift, see, because the sun and moon are just the children of a higher concept. It's a fractal breakdown. There's a higher version of you. This body ain't the real self, so to speak. There's a higher self, a lower self. All of these come together in unison and form the body, but when the body is not there, all of these different aspects of self re-enter the multiverse in a fractal type pattern. So when you think about what I'm telling you here, the sun and moon are the aura of the source. The sun and moon are a lesser form of the source, like the body is a lesser form of the soul. And my reason for saying that is to say, when you look at this goddess and you only sync that symbolism back to the moon phases, you're not going back far enough. Because before the sun and moon existed as the sun and moon, they existed as pure electricity and magnetism, which we became to translate as sun and moon. So what I'm doing now with this goddess on the screen is trying to let you see that prior to the sun and moon being created, this sphere being split up, held by the goddess, meant the opening of a hyperboloid. If you look at this goddess and think of someone with a pizza dough spinning a pizza dough around their head, that is how the ancestors said the cosmos was created. From one little rolled up, listen, it's a ball of dough. But when you spin it, it starts flattening out. It flattens out. And that is the creation of the cosmos. Now, what is this spinning? Is what's going on at the North Pole, what's causing the sun and moon to go around the circuit. The ground you walk on is in motion as well because it's sitting upon waters. The only thing immovable is the land we actually walk on, the continents, is one big immovable rock, which we'll get into that later. But all of the waters of what makes up the horizon line is in motion just like the sky. Now, when you look at her throwing up the pizza dough above her head, you're getting pivotal science. The pivotal point would be when the dough is balled up into a dot. That's a point of singularity. When you start spinning the dough and flattening it out, there are many phases that it go through before it reaches a climactic point. And if you keep spinning it and spinning it, a hole will form in the middle and a dough will become a dough nut. You see? And this is sacred geometry, showing you how matter go through different phases based upon motion. It started off as a ball and ended as a giant donut, but in between it was a dielectric inertial plane. It was a pancake. Now check this out. And we'll start changing up we'll change up the screen in a minute. I was hoping that the chat room would move because I thought we froze up there for a minute. So the way that the sun and moon go around the North Pole is the way that we pivot. And that pivotal point is another way you can say you slicing a pie. If I gave you a knife and I gave you a whole pie that was not sliced, the pivotal point would be the middle of the pie, an invisible energy point that allow for organization and structure. If I tell you to cut a birthday cake, you're going to take the knife and cut to the middle of the cake and you're going to stop. And then you're going to make a triangle. And from that one slice, you're going to go all the way around the cake, either clockwise or counterclockwise, just like I did earlier. That's how you pivot. That's called pivoting. And that's how a pie is sliced. Important stuff that we need to realize, because this same science, right, may be simple, but this is what the ancestors was trying to tell us. If you look at the goddess raising her hands up in a football field, that would be the field goal. All right. What does that extra point give you? 7. And earlier we talked about in the previous episode that the number 7 and the 5% nation, we sync together cosmology with this. We told you how this is a ripple effect. The 7 represents the severing. When something gets severed, it's beheaded, it's broken, it's severed into pieces. So severing something. And the number 7 is a cosmic concept. We're not talking about the numerical value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's kindergarten, okay? We're talking about the principle of the number 7, the cosmic principle. Has nothing to do with numerical value when you're interpreting infinity. Let me say it again. You're beyond numerical value when you're dealing with sacred geometry and the deciphering of the code of infinity. This is beyond numerical values. When you deal with this sacred geometry of a number, you're showing you how every number equals infinity, how each number expresses infinity in its own way. More than one way to skin a cat. All right. 4 plus 5 is 9, but 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9 too. And you can do that in an infinite amount of number of ways and get 9. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 9, that's 9. One time now, you can get 9 an infinite amount of ways. See what I'm saying? What, 18 take away 9, 9. It's an infinite amount of ways you can get to the number 9. Every number is infinity. That's what you realize when you deal with sacred geometry, that the only thing really exists is 0. The number 7 is 0. Because what happens after 7 days? You go back to 0. So 7 is completion. But guess what? 0 is completion. So infinity would be divisible by 0, all right? And all numbers would be divisible by infinity. So they're one and the same. So when you deal with 7 in relation to cosmology, 7 literally becomes the center of magnetism or the center of sail, that which completes the structure. Think of a tent with a pole in the middle. Is it a tent without the pole in the middle? Just like you won't have an earth without the North Pole, because reality will collapse upon itself. What will happen to a tent if you remove the pole? It'll collapse, right? 3D will become 2D, right? If you got rid of the North Pole, our 3D reality will collapse upon itself, just like a TV cutting off. They show you this all the time. When the TV cut off and it go to the black screen and it's got that little thin blue line in the middle that fade out, that's how the cosmos would collapse upon itself without the North Pole. Now this is a fractal code, because what is the North Pole when you look at a cell? It would be DNA. So think about what I'm telling you here, people. This is deep shit. Because what we call life will collapse upon itself without DNA. What Brother Sanchez is pointing out to you are the pivotal points of reality, or the polar points, the places in the tent that support the structures. Your cell are tents. What I'm telling you today is atoms and molecules and all of that is bull crap. That's malarkey. Only thing that exists is torus energy. Look at a cell. It's a torus field. Now, what supports the structure? The DNA in the middle. What supports the earth? The DNA in the middle. So without this pivotal point, reality will collapse in upon itself like a TV cutting off. Now, that's some deep stuff. That's some deep stuff. I'm telling you. See, and it gets real deep, right? Because That's what they was trying to tell you. Look at this image. This is Nut, Geb, and Shu. But what is the pivotal point of this cosmology, folks? What would be the pivotal point? If you was looking at this picture, what would split the image evenly? What split this sacred geometrical outline being Nut evenly? It would be this deity called Shu, right in the middle. And without this deity called Shu, the heavens being Nut wouldn't be connected to her son, Geb, the ground. This is an antenna. We got to take a closer look at the god Shu, because Shu is nothing but Yemaya. Because what happened was the Egyptians started replacing the goddesses. Now, let's go back to Nut and Geb. Now, what you want to take out of this, right, is if you look at the goddess Yemaya's breast, she has a moon crest, or a little hook, a little, moon crest kind of bent, connecting her breast together. This is because this goddess that you looking at behind me became a god or androgynous deity called Ishtar. I don't want to lose y'all. I'm gonna pull this up for you, because I know I'm going. To people that don't follow my stuff, they're gonna be like, "What is he talking about?" Let me do this for you. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, and it'll be worth you waiting. I found what I'm looking for, so you wait no more. Now, in all artwork dealing with the goddess, what I'm showing you now is a very ancient concept. Now, this here is Lilith, right? This is a goddess called Lilith. What we want to pay attention to is the moon crest. And if you look in the far right, at the bottom right corner, you can see the same image of the moon being split up that I was showing you with Yemaya splitting up the moon. What I'm doing, I'm showing you that this goddess Yemaya was revered all around the earth in many ways, and I want to sync them together here. Why do I want to do it? Because you need to understand that Amma's egg is the whole purpose of Easter. Easter is Ishtar. Ishtar is Lilith. All right? And there are so many forms of the goddess that I'll be here all day trying to give them to you. So I'm just giving you a few here. And you know that the goddess stands upon the moon crest. This is the whole thing about the witch and the moon, the witch and the moon. All right, the goddess associated with the moon is because the moon show us circuit energy. If you study the phases of the moon, you're studying the mystery of recreation, recycling, toroidal flow. The ancestors knew that. When you look at the moon going from new moon to full moon, it's like looking at a scarab beetle rolled on. It's like looking at a pizza, man. If you look at Lilith, look at Lilith. She's holding up that split moon, right? She's holding that up, right? She's showing you about splitting, severing, devouring, eating something. All right? This splitting of the moon represents the same thing the number 7 represents, severing. How in the middle of the earth, the goddess splits up reality and divides the ethereal reality from the non-ethereal reality. What we call physicality from spirituality, if you will. Even though they are connected, there are places where the connection is actually a sort of a dividing point. Think about this, right? It's a paradox. Now you need to define what a paradox is. Because what I'm telling you is what happens at the North Pole, what this goddess represent is a bond being made out of a division. Now, when you start to think about that, your mind can't really perceive how that would work. Just like if I told you to try and inhale and exhale at the same time, you wouldn't be able to do it. This is the miracle of how life is created. To unlock how that happened is to get on a God-like level. That's when the devil and the God occupy the same space and they unite and they don't go to war together. That's when you really create heaven. Because the war would end. And the war is the subconscious versus the conscious. Once you connect the two and see how they complement each other, you become self-master and the guru of your own reality. So the trick is to understand how you can create unity by division. Not divide and conquer. That's some different, that's a watered down patriarchal form of the sciences. And that is a way they control you. What I'm telling you is different from divide and conquer. What I'm telling you is divine and combine. So what I'm giving you is divine and combining versus dividing and conquering. I'm giving you dividing is divine energy. Now let me show you something, because the mystery to reality is to ask yourself, how can I connect something by splitting it? Once you figure out how to do that, you will become a genius and guru. That's the mystery. May seem impossible, but it can be done. If not, we wouldn't even be here right now. The earth is a result of what I told you. So, just to give your mind a sort of cushion, because I don't want you staying up at night trying to say, damn, how can I unite some by splitting it? I'm going to show you how simple that will be. Think of a four-way boulevard, right? If you going down a road and you reach a four-way, you reach a division point. You reach a point where your road divides up, and everybody that meet up at that four-way intersection know that they reaching a point where the road that they was traveling is dividing up and becoming a point where you got to either go forward, go left, or right. You got to make a choice now. It's no longer a straight road. That straight road has now divided up into a four-way. But what is a four-way? It's a connection point. It's a connection point. What you see from inside of your car as a divided road, from a helicopter, the pilot looking down see it as four roads connecting. So this is different ways of perceiving reality, and where you're perceiving it from now would be from inside of the car. You see the world broken up because you're within the duat. Once we leave the earth, we see what the pilots see. We see the roads connected going to one source. We don't see the North Pole like that from inside of the Taurus field. The only way you can look down upon the North Pole that's connecting the four corners of the earth is to ascend to the seat of the source. And you only can see the earth as an egg from the lap of Amma. So dying is returning to the Great Mother, and going to the Great Mother is sitting upon her lap in that place where they said Jesus was able to look down upon all the kingdoms of the earth. And you're able to see that which splits these four corners. All right, but when you're born into the Taurus field, you see it like the person going down a road splitting up into a four-way. This is called space and counter space. All right. It's the same thing, but it's different depending on what perspective. So the person in the car sees a road that's dividing up, but the person in the airplane See all of these cars coming to a pivotal point, a connection point. And the airplane pilot don't see no division. It sees 4 roads connecting. You down there on the ground inside of the car, you can't see nothing but division. All you see is, man, do I make a left, right, here or there? You be still and realize everything is connected. Be still and know what the pilot knows. That is all one. And that'll help you make the better decision when you reach them forks in the road in life. So this goddess represent esoteric knowledge that transcend all aspects of life. So now let's look at some more symbolism to show you what I mean, because here we sinking her to Lilith. We showing you this. See, look at here. You looking for the hands raised. When the goddess raising them hands, holding up that moon crest, and it's showing you how she split everything, and by splitting it up, united it all. Man, if that ain't powerful, you tell me. If that ain't powerful, that this concept of the great mother, what create this entire reality and the different individual forms of consciousness within it, was a great splitting. And that split created different individual forms of fragments of the source, me, you, animals, the sun, moon, even the elements are conscious beings. The lakes, rivers, the rain is simply one thing called water, right? If I cut you and some blood drip out of your body, we still refer to it in a singular sense. You people, you really got to think about what I'm telling you right now. Water is water no matter how much you separate it. Think about what I'm telling you. If you take one birthday cake and cut it up into slices, it's now become plural, but you still refer to it in a singular form. Cake, not cakes. You don't say, look at those cakes when the birthday cake is sliced up. Think about what I'm telling you, folks. Somebody getting an aha moment. Blood is blood. Even if I take some of your blood from your body, we still going to call it blood. We're not going to say, look at those bloods over there and the blood. Oh, no. Once you shatter infinity, it's still infinity. The things we refer to that connects infinity, when we separate them, we still refer to them in a singular state. Ain't that weird? Everybody ain't gonna grasp that one just yet. But think about it. Water is water. You can have drips of water, but you're not gonna say, look at all of these waters falling out the sky. You do it with apples. You say, look at all of them apples on that tree. But you don't say, look at all them bloods. And what I'm really trying to show you is how everything is one fluid. Water is one thing, and all water in this reality is connected. You perceive it divided the same way the person riding up to a four-way think that the road is dividing up when the road is actually connecting to a pivotal point. You have to say it's dividing up because you're in the car. But that's it's true from your perspective. But a helicopter pilot looking down at the road, it won't be true, because this is a paradox. Life is a paradox. Earth is a paradox. And what we call the lie and the truth are both the truth and the lie, depending on where you at in the paradox. If the pilot says, look at all those roads divided down there, his co-pilot will think he's insane. His co-pilot will say, you mean those roads that are connecting? But the person driving inside the car can say that and it'll be true for them. They can say, okay, this road is dividing, and that'll be true to them. But if they was up there with the pilot saying that, it'll be a lie. You see this paradox? This is what our earth is, folks. It's a paradox. That's why you're going to always have belief in fact. All right? That what I just showed you is the mystery of 0 and 1. Now check this out. The goddess in front of me is important because she represents that paradox. She represents that pivoted point where the split was made and the illusion was created. Because if you driving down that road and you see that four-way and that division point, what you're basically reaching is a paradox where severing takes place. And when you look at the nation gods of earth, that's what this symbol telling you. When you reach the center of the earth where all compasses point, you reach 0 degrees to a pivotal point. Nothing moves at that point because that's the point that's controlling all movement. Think about it. I just showed you with my feet earlier. The left foot is the pivotal foot. That would be the North Pole. It's spinning, but it's not moving. It's swinging around the sun and moon. Like, think of a capital T. And that capital T has the sun on one arm hanging and the moon on one arm, on the other arm hanging. And the pole of that capital T is spinning. You will see the sun and moon spinning around in the sky. And it would appear that the North Pole is a stationary pole. But when you get to the North Pole, you realize it's more like a barber's pole. It's spinning, but it's stuck. It's pivoted to the ground. It ain't moving in degrees. That's why it's 0 degrees, but it's still spinning. And because it's not moving, the sun and the moon can pivot off of it. Let me go back to my goofy little demonstration. Look at my goofy little feet again. Hold on. Let me get on camera. All right. This is the pivotal foot. All right. I'm going to even roll up my leg. This going to look corny and goofy, but I want to make a point. The leg with the, that I'm rolling up, that's the North Pole. This leg represents the spirals, the path of spiral circuitry that both the sun and moon follow. Now let me repeat that. The left leg is the pivotal leg. Think of it as a barber's pole. And connected to this barber's pole is an invisible magnetic rope that's swinging around both the sun and moon around a spiral circuit path. So this path of spiral circuit energy going around a pivotal point. That looks like a simple, goofy movement that I'm doing with my legs, but I'm doing it so y'all can really understand something. The left leg moves, but it don't move. It's still, but it moves. The left leg represents the leg where the paradox takes place. Because you see, when you deal with rotation and revolution, that left leg represents a pivotal point where movement meets stillness. And because of that, everything surrounding that pivotal point can be in motion. So think of it like this. A lake is still until you disturb it with a rock. When you throw a rock into still waters, you create that circular pattern in a form of a ripple effect spiraling outward from the point of impact. So listen, I'm doing this goofy demonstration with my legs So you can see that motion some more. Think of a protractor. It's deep stuff. Because Polaris is moving, but it's not moving. Think of a barber pole. The barber pole, if I ask, all right, think of a barber pole, right? What I'm giving you is the secrets of the cosmos according to the Dogon and all of the ancients, the non-corrupted version, and I'm translating it into terms that we talk. We talk like this, the way I'm talking, normal black people or normal regular Americans. We talk like this. You can understand the way I'm translating it to you. So I'm translating in a normal, down-to-earth way. What do we mean by a paradox? Same thing I showed you earlier about the four-way. What happens at the North Pole when you reach Alma's edge? You reach Alma's edge, and the edge is a paradox. They show you this in movies like Vanilla Sky, Butterfly Effect, all of this stuff, Inception. See, here's the paradox that you see with a barber's pole. If me and you were driving in the car and we approached this barber shop and I asked you, hey, my friend, is that barber pole moving? And if you answer yes, you would be telling the truth. And if I ask the person in the back seat, is that barber pole moving? And the person in the back seat say no, it's not moving. The person in the back seat will be right as well. You say, brother, how can they both be right? Well, the pole is moving and is not moving. What composes the barber's pole is the entire structure. It is a trinity. It has a dome above it, a dome below it, and what's connecting both of those domes is the same thing that's connecting the earth with the heavens in Egyptian cosmos. When you see the scarab beetle standing on top of the dome with the dome on top of its head, it's that Shu standing on top of Sheol holding up the firmament. Shu is the medium point in between these two bowls. Shu is enclosed, and Shu represents the pupil in Darth Vader's Death Star. All right? This is a spear, but Shu represents the vertical split. Shu represents the vertical splitting of that spear, and Geb represents the horizontal splitting of the spear. Now, I got a collage that'll show you what that'll look like, but it'll take me a lot of time to find it because I got over 3,000 collages, 3,000 images, and I didn't do this today organized, so I apologize. But I'll give you an example. And maybe I can open up paint real quick and show you what I mean. Because this will teach you the simplicity of, the basic layout of the Christian cross and how the cosmos was created. Hold on a sec. I'll do that for you. I'll take the time. So you can understand the connection between Shu and Geb. That great crossroads, that paradox. And we'll get back to the barber pole. See, that Christian cross can be seen as the cosmos because it represents the skeleton. The Christian cross is the skeleton, that which stabilizes the cosmos. Now, this little circle can be seen as Geb, the horizontal splitting of the cosmos. This circle can be seen as Shu, the vertical splitting of the cosmos. This circle can be seen as Nu, that which encompasses the split. And that trinity forms our earth, egg, our cosmic egg. And this box in the middle is the box of Saturn, or what they worship in at Mecca. This box in the middle is the Rubik's Cube. And what's turning around the box, the combination, is the toroidal energy. So the shell of the egg is nut or nut. All right. And the vertical splitting of the egg is shu. And the horizontal splitting is Gale. And where all the energy intersect is 0 degrees, the pivotal point, that cosmic boulevard, the four-way. All right. So you create this with a trinity of circles. 1 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle give you the entire cosmic egg. Very, very simple. And it'll show you the importance of you can't get this. See, this became the Christian cross. This is the skeleton. If you throw a blanket on top of that, you'll get nut. She's the invisible one, the hidden one. That's cloaking the skeleton of the elements. The elements are creating a vertical and horizontal skeletal frame. And what's separating these elements on an infinite plane, or separating the planes of existence, is invisible toroidal barriers. This would be the shadow of this. All right? All right. A lot of people still don't get it. Let's do it this way. What you're looking at now would be a human's skeletal frame. And this would be your flesh, meat, muscles, your skin on top of the skeletal frame. Guess what? When you decompose, the first thing that go away is the flesh. That's the most subtle part. That's the less dense part. That's the toroidal field, the aura, the less dense part. The skeletons go last. That's more connected with the elements, the heaviest parts of the self. So the body decomposes following a fractal code. There's a pattern with everything in nature, and the elements will return back to the source following the pattern, least dense to more dense. That which composes the aura is more outer. The skin is attached to the aura. The skin, when the aura becomes enlightened, starts to glow. Yes, your skin will glow. The skin is attached to the aura. Now, the inward you go toward the human, the more dense things get, and it compresses at the heart, where a paradox is formed. See, the heart would be the biological paradox of a human. The heart represented by this box right here. This box would be the heart inside of a human. Now think about this, right? This box is what they're worshiping at Mecca, right? And it shows you why the importance of this box. If I take this box, this entire structure will collapse upon itself. You see? The pivotal parts of this structure support each other. And when you take one away, the whole thing ceases to exist. In other words, if I delete this right here, this whole structure will collapse in on itself. It will smush together into a point of singularity, that which it started from. All these walls out here will cave in to this middle point, and it'll start back how it ended. It'll smash together as a point just like it started. So it'll keep recreating itself as you smash it. And this is the code of infinity, that nothing dies, it multiplies. Now I'm going to take a break right there, and you can compare my image in paint to the Hebrew cosmos. And then when we come back, we're going to go so far deep into this rabbit hole as we complete today's mystery school. We still got a lot more to learn. So I'm going to put a little music on. I'm going to take a little quick break, and I'm going to come on back, man, because I don't want to waste too much time. Hit the like button and share this with a friend. Okay, guys, and we're going to continue on at this time. What we're looking at is the Egyptian scarab beetle, and the purpose of pulling this up is to show you the many forms of shu. Shu is, in science, a hyperboloid. The reason I'm showing you this is because, what did I tell you earlier? Western anthropologists went around the world corrupting all of these drawings of beetles and the Dogon's Kanunga, because what we're going to do is this. All of the symbols that represent the magnetic hyperboloid to the ancients were corrupted by Western anthropologists. And the reason they corrupted them is because to unlock the secrets of the scarab beetle and the hyperboloid and the goddesses is to unlock the same secrets of Nikola Tesla that Tesla used to create free energy. So when you look at this symbol right here, a lot of people associate this symbol with the Egyptians. However, this is a universal symbol. It's popular from the Egyptians because they are the ones corrupted the symbol. Understand what I'm telling you. A triangle wasn't invented in Egypt. People always think, when they think of pyramids, they think of Egyptians. All around the world we see pyramids. Even ants build pyramids. Termites build pyramids. So why do we give this one particular civilization credit for the doggone triangle? No man created this shape. The Most High did. The pyramid or the triangle. So what did come out of Egypt? The corruption of the triangle. The science of the triangle and how it represents recycling. Because if you pull up a recycle symbol, it's the triangle. The triangle is the vagina where life is recycled through. That is the mystery of the triangle. It's a trinity of threes or trinity of angles. Therefore, triangle. Ma'at became a personification of the triangle or trinity angel. The capital T, when you outline it, becomes the delta, the womb, the triangle. We know that. They turned that to a triangle being the all-seeing eye. Okay? Showing you the corruption here now. So, what came up out of Egypt? The all-seeing eye version of the pyramid. Everybody been knew about pyramids and triangles. So why do our government want to associate Egypt with pyramids and triangle and everything that's common shit? Ants build pyramids. Like, why is this push? Because the pyramid or the triangle did not originate in Egypt. The pyramid scheme originated in Egypt. Money is a huge pyramid scheme. And the people that created the first forms of money and taxation was the Egyptians. So that creation, that system of money is a pyramid scheme. So when you see the pyramid on a dollar, it's not some place where they stacked up bricks. It's showing you where the pyramid scheme of capitalism originated. When the cosmic sciences was turned to economic sciences and how companies can bankrupt each other, and that nature's resources were now started to become scarce. Not that they were literally scarce, but scarcity or scaring people with the illusion of we running out of stuff and we overpopulate, indoctrinate them, creating a scarce people. There's so much abundance on earth. That's just a bunch of greedy people who want to create scarcity to rule you. Now understand that that's the trick behind it, and that the ain't exclusive to the Egyptians. And the reason I'm telling you that is because when this pyramid scheme was created, by hiding this knowledge I'm giving you, by hiding the hyperboloid, by hiding the goddess, they also hid what they did to hide the goddess was corrupt the symbolism and make the symbolism empower the dang first patriarchs or the first rulers. Instead of the symbolism being a symbol that represents power, the symbol now represents the pharaoh. So we associate the Ankh with the rise of the first pharaoh, instead of the rise of the earth, the creation of the earth. See, this cross right here that you looking at called a is this cross that you're looking at that I drew in paint. And it all represents the conception of the earth. And yes, it literally is a womb, but it is a cosmic womb. Now, the cosmic code is a fractal code, so we also say this is a woman's womb because it's as above, so below. This is also what's happening at the North Pole, sex. And that sex is what's rippling the ocean waters, creating low tide and high tide, creating this movement that stirs up the ether from this sex that's happening. A pole and a hole. Think of a barber pole in the middle of magnetic waters, different forms of water. It will ripple them on different levels. So we see the sky in motion, the water in motion, everything in between. You're connected. You're living water. So you see the humans in motion. And all of this motion is being created from the center. Without that, everything is still because the movie stops. That box is a projecting point or a pivotal point that's projecting the conscious thought of life of the source outward. And you are that thought. Most High stop having that thought, you go away. See how simple it is? Now, thought is vibration. This is where it gets deep. Because to study vibration, electromagnetism, it goes back to what I was saying of how these patriarchs took power in the first place. When we say they took power, what the hell are we saying? Do I need to say more? I keep telling y'all folks, if you study cosmology, that's what empower you. Physically, mentally, spiritually, literally. You got groups out here talking about black power and white power, but both of their asses pay goddamn Alabama power, California power, LA power, Brooklyn power. All of these groups now, white power, black power, they motherfucking asses still pay a power company. Think about what I'm telling you now. Look at the screen. What is true power? Because the people that's deciding the fate of your children that's ruling this world that truly got power, they ain't talking about no goddamn pride and ego. When you say black power, that ain't really no damn power. White power, that ain't really, man, that shit ain't power in your house. Let's start dealing with reality. That's just pride, racism, and ego. What is power? You can't live without power. You can live without black power. You got some people that go in and out of black power, they wishy-washy. You got some white power folks that's white power one day, the next day they ain't white power. You can go in and out of that shit because that ain't really power. That's ego. Real power you can't do without. So, when we start talking about real power, it don't have an adjective in front of it because it is what it is. It's just power. When I say, power without an adjective in front of it is more powerful. Because once I say green power, well, I'm not talking about yellow power, red power, and brown power. I'm missing so much shit. The moment I put an adjective in front of power, oh man, you just demoted the joint so bad. Because if you just say power, it is what it is. That means all power. That means infinity. You didn't specify. You just said power. The moment you say red power, oh, well, it ain't brown power. Well, oh, it ain't blue. You missing so much now. The adjectives fucked us up. So what I'm telling you right now is when we strip away the adjectives and the translations that watered this science down, we get back to power. When we go through the schools of black power, white power that's steering you this way, taking all of your true power and getting you plugged and using it against you is only empowering the lower self, because you can't think when you in that form of ego. When you pull think about it. Nikola Tesla existed during a time when racism was way worse than what it is today. And if he was caught up into goddamn being a white supremacist and white power, then Nikola Tesla would have went down in the history books as the best white supremacist of his time. But Nikola Tesla wouldn't focus on white power or black power. Nikola Tesla was simply focused on power. And because of that, he tapped into the secrets of the universe. He tapped into secrets that could help blacks and whites, red people and yellow people, because he wasn't living his life based upon black power, white power, red power. He was simply thinking power is what gives everyone life, whether you black, red, green, even if you're a chameleon lizard. You know, them little lizards can be any color they want to. Even if you one of them, you get power too. So Tesla said, you know what? What interests me more than white power or black power is just understanding power itself, unbiasedly. And you enter a new realm that they want you to be distracted with white power, black power. Oh, we need to get you behind this and get behind that. And some people live their whole lives trying to empower some stupid mundane cause, instead of sitting back, taking a deep breath, saying, hey, somebody pulling my strings. I'm being manipulated. What's going on here? Let me stop, breathe, not choose a side, look in the mirror, think about life, look at the sun, look at the moon. What's going on? What are you? Why are you here? Are you here to be a member of Black Lives Matter? Did the Most High send you here to be a KKK member? Or are we all have the potential to arise to the genius state of a Tesla? Or the ancient indigenous people all around the earth that understood what Tesla tapped into? So when you look at that Egyptian Ankh and the only thing you can think about is black power, you're shallow. You're putting the adjective in front of it. And the real mysteries of the Ankh will never be revealed to you, because every time you look at the Ankh, all you see is black power, black power. And you can't see that the Ankh is truly power itself. It's a mechanism by which you can actually power your damn house and save and truly get some black power. Because in case you didn't know, governments are in power. It's because they empower the nation. In other words, you cannot build a nation if you can't empower the damn nation. Literally. We ain't talking about taking a bunch of black. See, if you gave black people their own continent, it'll be a primitive type state without no real running water, no real power. But it'll be a lot of niggas saying black power. Same thing with the KKK folks. Give them their own land and seclude them. They wouldn't know how to empower their own nation. That's what they asking, man. We wish we can get our 40 acres and a mule. Them 40 acres will be the darkest 40 acres on earth, because you won't have no damn electrical grid. It'll be hell a lot of fires burning in them 40 acres, because niggas will be walking around in the dark with unks around their goddamn neck, but don't know that the unk is the damn answer on how you can empower your goddamn nation. And you ought to be tired of ignorance, folks. You ought to be tired of it. And if it don't apply to you, it don't apply to you. I'm speaking in general. The average Negro with an unk on cannot make that unk into a damn electric oscillator. So what I'm giving you today is how all of this science of electromagnetism was corrupted by hiding the goddesses. See, what that electric oscillator doing is splitting the ether. It's splitting the ether because the hole that you see in the middle of that represents the same thing that we call the North Pole in the middle of the earth. It's a pivotal point that all the energy that's creating that electrical aura. See that device what Nikola Tesla made, that electric oscillator, what's creating the top part is light. That's the sky. This is earth cosmology, people. That's why I got this paint image up there. That's an electrical dome. And it's made by passing an electrical current from one part of the oscillator to another in a simple way. And it wraps around like a coil. So let me just show you how this would look in paint. Because what you really looking at is this. It'll be like looking at one half of this. Maybe I can highlight the for you. But basically, this little barrier right here is where the energy is passing around this hole. Let me see if I can get some paint. Right here. It's the same thing as right here. If you look at where this energy crosses together, and it remember I told you earlier about that crossroads where the four-way intersection is? Here's the four-way intersection right here. See, the energy is passed from one end of the car to the other one, and it's going through the thing like a number 8, and this is a perpetual energy device. But the energy is in motion. It's not like these light sparks are standing still. It's moving around. It's moving. It's an energy current. It's oscillating the energy like the number 8. And it's all passing through this pivotal point. This red dot right there. So that's what the North Pole is, a pivotal point where all the energy passes through the earth, entering and exiting. Because what happens here is entry and exit take place. Entry, exit, entry, exit. And the energy just keep going around, around, around. Now check this out. The average guy wearing an ankh around his neck in these pro-black communities don't know nothing about an electric oscillator. So they only know the surface level of the ankh. And like I said, if you gave all of these folks they 40 acres and a mule, it'll be the darkest places on earth. But the only thing that'll be shining is golden ankhs and chains and golden ankhs and shit. And they'll be like, how do we make some electricity with these damn ankhs on their neck when that is the damn symbol of how you do it? So how did we reach the dumbed down state? I'm telling you now. See, the years I gave you with the Dakar Djibouti missions, 60s and 70s, it's the same years where all of these pro-black schools of thought was being conceived and being born. What the anthropologists had to come back to this place and disseminate their misinformation. And they disseminated their misinformation through hip-hop artists, through schools of thought like, different, Nation of Islam, Scientology, People's Temple. Hey, even the 5% Nation. All of these are corrupted forms of the real knowledge. And there's so many different schools with different shattered, corrupted forms of those early mistranslations, to the point that it's so hard to get back to the truth. What Tesla knew. Tesla knew he was on a flat earth. He was a flat earther. If in order for him to make his devices, he had to understand flat earth, because flat earth is free energy. So in paint, you see the flat earth model, us living inside of the egg, not on the surface of it. So the Dogon is spot on when they talk about Alma's egg being split. So now we're going to show you what you're looking at right now is the splitting of Alma's egg. All right. This is dividing the waters from the waters. Once you generate an electrical current, that electrical current splits the ether. Yes, that electrical current splits the ether. Why? Because this electrical energy now occupies space in, listen, where this electricity occupies space at, magnetism isn't dominant, meaning that what's creating the shape of the electrical flow can be maybe, summed up in magnetism. But the electrical current would be the complementary opposite of magnetism, meaning that once you generate an electrical current, you rip this magnetic ether. Electricity rips through the ether. That's why you can't create electricity. You can only generate it by tapping into the electrical aspect of the ether. The ether is electricity and magnetism, but magnetism encloses the electricity. So another way you can look at that is darkness encloses the light, right? If you look at all ancient religious origin stories, they tell you it's darkness, then it was light in the midst of the darkness. Another way you can look at that is a bubble in the ocean. That's what our egg is. That's what the Dogon said his earth egg is. All right. So Nikola Tesla's oscillator creates a bubble in the ether, a disturbance in the ether. An electrical current is like a bubble in the ocean. Now, what would that bubble allow us to do? Pass information, transmit information. So see how we're able to have an electrical grid and pass. I can call you on the phone. I'm using it now to transmit information over a microphone through electricity. Why am I able to do that? Think of it this way. Once you create a bubble in the ocean, you can put a message inside of that bubble, and the bubble will pass that message to the surface for you. Now we get an aha moment, right? It's that simple. Since electricity is a rip in the ether, and it's in constant flow, you tap into it, you generate it, and you harness the generation of it, and you aim it in certain areas. And by aiming, see, you don't create electricity. You generate it at a plant. And now once you start to tap into this electrical part of our cosmos and channel and generate all this electric energy from the ether into one concentrated area, being a power plant, it becomes dangerous now because you got a lot of electricity concentrated. Now what you have to do, since you can't destroy the electricity, you can't create it, now that you've generated and power, think about it this way. Think of a river flowing. You don't, see, if you think of a river flowing, you can control the river by creating a dam. But it's dangerous now because you stopped all that water from flowing. You done piled all that water up at a dam. So now you got to control and disperse that water, because it's going to keep piling up and it'll collapse that dam. So you'll notice that the dam got little bitty holes at certain points. The dam got little bitty side outward flows to kind of let the water drain a little bit too. It ain't just stopping it, because otherwise it'll fill up and overflow the dam. It's controlling the flow of it, not stopping the flow. All right, it's bringing it to a lesser flow at this point. It'll be like if you had a hose pipe and you choke the hose pipe, it won't stop the water from coming through, but it'll slow it down. And at that point where you're squeezing the hose pipe, you can generate energy from that point. And that is the point where my mouse cursor is. This would be when you draw a number 8 where you squeeze it at, the energy is generated from this point. So what I'm saying is, when we generate electricity at a plant, you got all this electricity that you channeled from the ether piled up in this one spot. And the purpose of the plant ain't to just hoard all of the electricity in one spot, because eventually the plant itself will explode. The plant will explode for the same reasons if you build a dam without allowing the water to still pass through. The dam will explode. If you cut on a hose pipe and you squeeze it tight enough to actually stop the water from going through, holes will start to pop out from the pressure building up. The hose pipe will explode if it's a cheap one. Or something to have to give, because the water will start pushing back into your pipes. So the hose pipe will end up giving, because that's rubber and the pipe is metal. So your hose pipe will get fat like a balloon and it'll explode and pop. So what am I telling you here? At a power plant, they're generating so much electricity that and the reason the power plant don't explode is because from the power plant, they're passing the electricity to everybody's house. So the energy ain't at a complete standstill. Okay? So the energy, just think about a pregnant dog. My dog was just pregnant. If the puppies don't drink the milk, then the mama will die, because all of milk will start spoiling in her boobs, and all of her boobs will swell up and the milk will turn into pus, because it ain't no puppies there to suck it out, and it'll cause the mama to die. So if we don't suck the energy from the power plants will blow up. What keep the power plants running is us feeding on their nipples. But the moment we generate our own energy grid, all of their power plants will explode. Boom, pow, boom, literally. You know, it'll literally shut down. It'll big failures will start happening, because these things was not designed to generate this electricity without it being pulled. So when they create these plants, they create them with the intention of connecting them to houses. If they start generating all this electricity at this plant and not connecting it to nothing, do you know how dangerous that shit will become? All this electricity just piling up, and it ain't being passed, on a grid, down a block, through a line, from house to house. It'll be like building up a river with a dam without allowing little bitty vents and little holes in the dam for the water to go through slowly. The dam will give, man. So a dam ain't holding back the water, it's slowing down the water so you can generate energy from that place where you're squeezing the hose pipe. That's a pressure point. You can generate energy from that point. And you can look at that power plant as that pressure point where man has created a factory to squeeze energy from the ether and then distribute it on throughout neighborhoods and everything else. Very simple. Very simple. So thinking like this will make our kids geniuses like Tesla, but they don't want you thinking like this. That's why they corrupted these symbols into all kind of fish monkeys and space monkeys and people landing out the sky and all kind of crazy stuff. We could talk about human origins on another stream, but this excuse me, this one is about showing you how the goddesses were hidden, because the goddesses represent the hyperboloid, and the hyperboloid is the secret of toroidal flow or electromagnetism. Okay, all right, so the Ankh is a universal symbol. That's what all the Kemetic people need to know. It's not exclusive to the Egyptians. Without the Ankh, they couldn't empower the prehistoric world. So get this prehistoric world out of your mind, that the people in the prehistoric world was stone people like the Flintstones, and they didn't have electrical grids and such. That's foolishness. People will say I'm dumb today because, Brother Sanchez, you believe people in prehistoric times had electricity? Duh. Is one of the most simplest things to create on earth. Nature created with lightning. A scorpion can create electricity, but man can't. Dolphins and animals can create electricity with their sonar transmissions, but man can't. Animals use radio waves to communicate, but man wasn't using it. We got to wake up and realize we've been lied to. The Dark Ages was created. It was a purging of knowledge so that they can take the generations after the Dark Ages to create a new world where they would have a rebirthing of the same knowledge that they stole from the ancients. And they call that the Renaissance. And it's been many renaissances. Tesla, during his time, they was going through an electrical renaissance. And it's because this knowledge was suppressed. Humans always had the ability to generate electricity, folks. Really, they really did. If you rub your feet on a carpet and then go and touch your loved one, you'll shock them. This electrical grid that nature created runs through everything in nature. Everything is connected via electrical energy, static energy. It's one big wave. So you can generate electricity because electricity is an infinite flow of the ether. It's one half of the ether. It's infinite. So if a river is flowing near your village, you can take bamboo shoots and run it from the river to your village and have a constant little spigot of water. And then you can control that and make like a little, fountain or something to make the water slow down and make the water kind of recycle itself. And everybody can go to that little fountain and fill up their cups and have a sip of water without walking all the way to the river. So you can tap into the flow of the river by connecting to it. And that's what electricity is. You're not creating electricity. You're tapping into electricity. You're generating it. Electricity ain't nothing man can create or destroy. Electricity and magnetism is all that exists. So man can tap into it and generate it, but not create it. All right. So that's what Tesla was doing. And in order for you to tap into what Tesla was tapping into, you need the knowledge I'm giving you now with sacred geometry, ancient cosmology, and these symbols. These symbols are ancient patents that show you how to generate energy and empower yourself, literally, not just no ego shit. So, when you look at this symbol right here, you are looking at the goddess. She is an electric, she's the personification of an electric oscillator, and her splitting this sphere is simply that which splits the atmosphere. That would be the vault of heaven. The circle in the middle is the opening, and you can see the split on each side. So when you look at that goddess, that circle right above her head is this circle inside of the Ankh. This splits the ether. This separates the water from the water. Because Outside of the is this is the atmosphere we live in. We breathe out here, regular atmosphere. But then you got this electrical barrier where you can't stick your hand through that without getting shocked. Now, now on another subject, Tesla did find a very safe way to pass electricity through the human body. In fact, Tesla lit himself up like a light bulb, and ain't nobody done it since his time. Yes, they don't want you to know that. Tesla plugged himself up to the electrical current, and his whole body lit up like a light bulb, and then he unplugged. They stopped them from doing that, y'all. They don't want you to know that electricity can be passed harmless through the human body. And they doing it every day, passing these different waves through you. And our different forms of reading our energy and thoughts ain't nothing but electrical vibration. These people already are Professor X. Professor X was able to read the mind by tapping into the invisible energy, auric energy. And Professor X represents a concept. The X is what you see, what I drew here in paint. The Great Crossing is what allow you to tap into all things on the electrical grid. That's what Tesla created to generate it on a micro form. He mimicked the macro concept. So Professor X tapping into the mind is this symbol is an X. And by the X is the gateway into the unknown. But once you enter it, the unknown becomes known. That's what Tesla did. He opened up a gateway. When Tesla opened that gateway, he basically repeated history and made the world cut the lights back on. And that was a pivotal point in our human evolution. All right. Evolution is not taking place on a biological level. It's taking place in the sciences, in the awareness of man. So these pivotal points and breakthroughs in our society are pivotal points because these are points when man start to reconnect with the pivotal point called a North Pole. Right? Every time man have a rebirth of the sciences and knowledges, it's because someone tapped back into ancient cosmology and said, hey, this is how you make electricity. And you got these different time frames of man going from dark age to light age, because you're forgetting your true origins and remembering them. And it's all, see, flat earth is the pivotal point of these ups and downs or declinations and ascensions of human consciousness. It's flat earth. So right now we see the flat earth knowledge coming back around during what? A pivotal point time. We just completed 7,000 years. We entered a new age during this time that the flat earth knowledge has pivoted back around. So we've completed a 360 in our awareness point. The thoughts and reactions and interactions of man upon this earth recycle back around just like the stars. That's why we say history repeat itself. But we lost this knowledge when they hid the knowledge of the Dogon and the goddesses behind pseudoscience. Now at this time, I'm going to take another brief break and we're going to continue on with the knowledge. Thank you guys for your patience. Remember to hit the like and share button for your brothers so we can share this divine information with our brothers and sisters out there who may be wearing unks every day and don't know this serious information, this divine information, this applicable information, empowering information. All right, I'm back. I'm back, guys. I don't want to never keep you waiting too long. Now that we got this portion out the way, I got a lot of things I wanted to get into, and now we're gonna get into the mythology of the Dogon. We talk about the splitting of Amma's egg, and I'm gonna keep this paint picture up there so you can see what they mean, what the Dogon mean with this cosmic split. All right. Now, here's one of the mythologies associated with the Dogon. And this is a picture of Ogo leaving Sigi Tolo without permission and entering the earth. All right. So I'll read a little bit more. See, in cosmogony myths of African tribe of Dogons, it is told about the confidant of great Amma, the supreme deity of the Dogons, which has taken possession of a part of his knowledge and has assumed that he is wiser than Amma itself. Let me stop here so you can understand who is he that thinks he was wiser than Amma itself. It was me and you, those fallen angels. So the image you see on the left with Ogo breaking into Amma's egg without permission, it's because you was one with Amma before you started to understand the knowledge of it. This is before you was even conceived. Right now I'm talking about before you was even conceived. See, every baby being born represents a soul becoming aware of this cosmic code of infinity. What I mean by that is when we one with the source and we are infinity, you don't really have a symbol for infinity when you are infinity. Meaning, if you ask the creator, hey, Most High, what's the symbol for infinity? The Most High ain't gonna get no paper and write down a symbol like how the ancestors did, because the symbol is the Most High. So what happened when the Most High start to look in the mirror? That's when the symbol is formed. See, you walk around your life and you perceive reality from a first person view. And if you wanna never had a mirror, and if water didn't exist, you wouldn't even know what you look like. You wouldn't even really know like what your facial identity look like. You'll be able to look at your body and stuff, but you wouldn't really have a clear look of what your facial identity look like. You will have to let somebody else kind of describe it, or you will have to look at yourself through their eyes. See how this hyperbolic universe works? You see yourself through others, because if water didn't exist and if mirrors didn't exist, you will only get a reflection by looking into the eyes of another human to know what you are. So to understand reality, we got to converse with each other, because each person is a piece of the puzzle. Now, the deep thing about the journey of the human from the ethereal realm breaking into the earth egg, when you was connected to the source, you didn't have a definition of yourself. You didn't have a mental picture of what you look like or nothing like that. No symbolic form of the self. When you existed as infinity, you existed as the symbol that the ancients was trying to draw in the micro realm, that they was trying to express as a symbol. But when you leave this realm, you don't need the symbol. You're one with the source. You see, you are the symbol. So what we got to realize is that a synonym for the word symbol is icon. And an icon is a master, a celebrity, a god. The original icon of the symbol is the source. And the source don't have a perception of symbolism. It exists in an infinite state of Zen. It is what it is. It don't have any concept of dimensions or barriers. So therefore, the source couldn't make you a symbol, because symbol refers to start and end, structure, shape. And the source don't deal with that. It's infinite. Now, once you're born onto the earth, you try to express that infinite part of the source in a symbol. And so we can see the code of infinity in the symbol that does indeed have dimensions and barriers, but we can you can interpret the symbol. You can see infinity in the spiral. If I write the number 6, it's a symbol that alludes to continuance. The starting and end point is incomplete. See, if I tell someone to draw a DNA strand, it will have to leave the ends of that strand open, because it's a continuing connecting. If I tell you to draw a ladder to the sky, if I'm looking at your artwork, you will have to make the illusion of the ladder going all the way up to the sky. It'll stop at some point, but when you climb to that point, the ladder will continue on up to the sky. There's no endings, only new beginnings, so to speak. Where it seems the horizon ends, is just a new beginning. So we're finna sync all of this with this mythology of Ogo breaking into Alma's egg. Because what I'm telling you now is, when you existed in an infinite state, one with the source, you existed as infinity. Once infinity looked in the mirror and started to see a definition of itself, they call that being born. And infinity, fragments of infinity, is projected from infinity in the form of human beings. These are the broken parts of the creator that was connected to the creator, that realized, hey, I wonder what I look like. Let me take a look at my reflection. And once you said that on an ethereal plane, that echoed in the darkness, and that's how you came into existence. That question is what brought you to this world. What do I mean? When the infinite creator that has no definitions, because there's nothing to compare it to. There's no mirror for it to compare itself to. It exists in an infinite state with no concept of definition. See, in that state, if the creator decides to, okay, yes, if the creator says to itself, yes, I'm in an infinite state, and I do not have a concept of barrier, end, or definition. The moment the creator says, I want to see what my infinite state look like, it's born to a human. Because this is what the infinite state of the creator look like. We're made in the image of the Most High. Everything in existence is a symbol that represents infinity. And each symbol is a fragment of the source, expressed in a way that has definition, form, interpretation. When the Most High decides, let me look in the mirror and see what infinity look like, you're born. And a piece of the Most High exists as you. And it came to the earth, which is the mirror, to look in the mirror. In an infinite state, there is no mirror. There's nothing but simply, like it said, it is what it is. Nothing but the all. There are no elements in this state. The elements are made, the elements represent that bubble inside of the ocean. So you can look at the sphere on the right. Each half of it is earth, water, wind, and fire, making this bubble. And surrounding it is darkness. The ancestors call it the void. Now they turned this into space. But it's not space. It's everything there is. It's not emptiness. It's everything. It's magnetic energy. It just happened to be dark. But it's everything. Like, they turned it into nothing. But this darkness, man, wouldn't be no light without it. Whenever the darkness develops a consciousness, a world is formed. And whenever a fragment of the darkness develop a consciousness of itself, a human is formed. You see what I'm telling you here? See, the crazy thing about it is the creator doesn't have a reflection of itself outside of infinity other than the human. And see, the whole thing when you say outside of infinity is stupid. There can only be inside of infinity. There can't be no outside of infinity. So everything is inside. Even the edge of the earth is toward the inside. All right, so the crazy thing is this. Whenever the creator wants to see itself with definition, it has to assume a human form. The creator exists in an infinite state of Zen beyond the physical elements. In this state, the creator can't see its definition by looking in the water or looking in the mirror. Because in this state, the creator exists in a state that's beyond the elements. So how can the creator look in the mirror to have definition? What the creator does, instead of looking into a mirror for definition, in its infinite state, the creator simply make a miniature form of infinity. And that's called a human. So when the creator fragment itself, you get this thing called a Big Bang theory, where they try to tell you how all of these shattered fragments created life from one big old rock, one huge. See, the Big Bang theory didn't do nothing but corrupt ancient teachings. Let me show you. If you look at the Big Bang theory and what I'm giving you, you'll see the corruption. Here's artwork from the Big Bang theory. Now look at what I drew to the right in paint. Very similar, right? Because there's only one cosmic code, and they're just corrupting it to hide the truth. So that red dot in the middle of my image show you where the four corners was created from an explosion. And it's not a explosion of fire. See, you're so deceived, my brothers and sisters. How do you let them give you this Big Bang theory of fire exploding and creating from the fire, from this, because we talk explosion, it has to be dealing with the element of fire, the thrustful element, you know, the element that would allow for projectile energy to take place, explosive energy, fiery energy, discharge energy. This Big Bang energy is fire. What kind of fire? Because they telling you during this time, this was the creation of the universe. So apparently, fire didn't even exist yet. What they giving you with the Big Bang theory is Alma's egg. It's a seed, and it's not a fireball. It's a thought in the darkness. This is why people talking about simulation theory. It's all being simulated from the mind of the source. Thoughts are explosions. When the thought happens, the light comes on. That's a world forming in the primordial sea or a bubble in the ocean. Okay? Now hold on a minute, guys. Sorry about that. My little girls, they got company and they was real loud out there, so I had to let them know to keep it down a little bit. Now we're gonna continue. See, this Big Bang concept is a seed planted in the darkness growing a tree. See, a tree isn't everything is a toroidal explosion. Starting from the center of magnetism exploding outward. You got the hyperboloid, then you got the energy field around it. Just like you got the excuse me, I got a lot going on in the background. Hold on, people, hold on. So people, what we see on the right is the same thing they gave you on the left. When you put a seed in the ground, a seed is a hyperboloid. And a hyperboloid is a paradox where you have a push and pull happening at the same time. So how would you see a push and pull happening at the same time with a seed? Well, the seed will be pushing and pulling based upon the branches and the roots. Energy being pulled and pushed and pulled. Think of a straw. You got one straw, and on one end of the straw, where your mouth is connected, the soda is being pushed out of that end, and the drink is coming into your mouth. And on the other end of the straw, we see the soda being sucked into the straw. On one end of the straw, the soda is being sucked in. And on the other end of the straw, it's being pushed out into your mouth. One straw allowing for push and pull. That's what we're talking when we talk the North Pole. So the North Pole is the seed that gave birth to the very conscious reality we live in right now. The ground you walking on is made of thought. See, science don't want to add the creator into the creation, but any society that attempts to unlock the mysteries of the creation while denying the creator, they won't. They just won't. They'll never unlock the truth about the creation while denying the creator. You know, when you study in a rock as is like something dead, you know, you don't think a tree is consciousness. You just see wood and branches. You'll never unlock the truth, not seeing how everything is connected and whatnot, you know. So what I'm saying is A seed is a hyperboloid. For example, a dual action take place from that point of impact when the seed go in the ground. The seed starts to grow up, but the seed starts to grow down. And this is what they don't want you to know about yourself. We don't just grow up, we grow down. From the waist downward, you grow down, and from the waist up, you grow up, just like a tree. From the waist down, the roots grow down into the ground, and the branches grow up. Same thing with the human. From the waistline, we grow down and up. All right? So, it's a hyperbolic action that's taking place. In between the ground and sky is the split where the push and pull is separated. So we live in the middle of a paradox. And the Big Bang Theory is just a westernized way of corrupting the original ancient origin stories of Alma's egg, showing you how when you put a seed in the ground, it explodes into a tree. You say it grows into a tree, but the tree is just a slow explosion. Everything is an explosion or implosion, electricity and magnetism, either or. And they want to turn it into gravity and some force. Listen, it's crazy. Like, according to gravity, the tree would grow down, right? No, the roots grow down, but the branches grow up. So gravity pull the roots down, but allow the branches to grow up? No. I'm describing to you the forces at work that creates our reality. The ground is a threshold, and the heavy element's going to go down at that point, and the lighter element's going to go up at that point. But the ground is the midpoint where the decision takes place. See, the ground we walk on is where all the elements come together. But as the gases ascend, they separate to different layers. Everything separates when it leaves the earth. But once it enters Alma's egg, it unites into one thing called a body. See, when the soul leaves the body, it's not just the soul, but the spirit leaves, the mind leaves, the subconscious separate from the consciousness. And at that point, is the whole journey of you is to reconnect all them different aspects of yourself back together again. So the ancestors say you go on a cosmic journey. And as you trying to put yourself back together, your subconscious, you exist as a sperm and an egg. And if you don't make your mama find your daddy with the law of attraction using that Cupid energy, you don't put your body back together, Osar. This is the story of Osiris. Chopped up body coming back together and being reunited in the womb. See, everything here in this little middle area where we live at is united. But because it's united, it's constantly in motion to get back to its separate state. So on Earth, we see fire in the ocean with lava coming up out the water and fire being blended with water. And because of that, rock is formed. Because every time you get yin versus yang, a child is formed. So the water plus the fire equals the land, right? So you're getting all the elements formed here in this area called Earth. The elements have sex with each other, and you get this thing called a periodic table, which is the children of the elements. So let me break this down to you. When you look at the four corners of this egg, it's earth, wind, water, and fire. But those break down into a more bigger fractal code. Those four give birth to the periodic table. And the periodic table gives birth to what? Technology, devices, and it even breaks down, you see. And it's a fractal code starting from those four. Originally start from El, and air to give birth to the elements, and the elements give birth to the Elohim, which is everything in between. The periodic table. That periodic table is the ground you're walking on. You walk upon the periodic table. The ground you made on walk on is composed of all the elements. And all the elements combine here and solidify to make one thing called Earth. But they ain't stagnant. They're only moving through here. This is the crossroads where all of that moving energy, if you got fire in one corner of the earth existing as in a separate state, meaning let me go back to paint real quick. Hold on, people. All right, let's do something. Let's say you got fire represented by that corner. Okay. You got water represented by that corner. All right. When they both come together, they give birth to earth down here at the bottom. Right? Now, the crazy thing about wind and earth is that when you talk about fire and water coming together, when they come together, it creates the wind. When they start to spiral each other, the fire and the water creates the wind. Now, a lot of people can explain this in different ways. You can say the wind is what spoke the fire and water into existence, and the fire and water created the land. But what you need to know is that the last thing that was created was the land. The land is a result of the elements combining to make a stage. And you can see that happening in the ocean, man. So the ancestors was on point with the way they said how the 4 elements was created, and each element is a corner of the earth. Everything is organized. It only becomes blended in the blender once it enters the earth egg. What I'm telling you is fire originates from somewhere. Man don't create fire, man generate fire. But fire had to be created by a higher source. And if you say what created fire, we say the higher source, that's one thing. I mean, okay. But a better question would be is, where was fire created? Then we would start now trying to see where's the most concentration of fire at in our reality. And the ancients drew out the cosmology with fire in certain areas, water in certain areas, surrounding this egg. And inside of the egg, you had all of those elements combined, creating reality. So what I'm saying is the elements separate when they leave the egg. Just like when you do laundry, you separate the whites from the colors. You separate like the mop heads from the boxers. Like, you're not gonna wash your underwear with your mop heads that you mop the floor with. You separate your laundry a certain way. And as the elements get cleaned when they leave this cosmic egg, the Most High separate the laundry. You know, the different, everything it becomes separated and just like helium rises because what we call helium exists as an element in its own layer of the cosmos. See, water drains to the ocean. All water on earth finds its way back to the ocean. You know why? Because everything is organized in different layers. Just like the helium go back to an ocean of helium above your head, a layer of the sky where it ain't nothing but helium. All right? And each of these things is separated by layers when it leaves this middle plane. This middle plane that we living in is where it all can exist at the same time. This is the threshold. So this is the only place in the cosmos where all of the elements can occupy the same space. And because of that, you can have something called a human be formed here in this part. But you notice humans don't live in the upper layers of the sky. Humans don't live in the deeper bowels of the ground. If you find life in those areas in the ground, it'll be a different kind of human, modified, right? We say that too when we talk about inner earth creatures. What we call a human can only exist in Midgard. This is the place where hot and cold can occupy the same place. So if you think of a thermometer, this would be 50 degrees. If cold is 0 degrees and hot is 100 degrees, the earth we live in is 50 degrees, meaning hot and cold both got a little half of this area. That's why we got sun and moon, man and woman, up and down. This is the duat. Now I'm showing you how the duat was formed. Dual reality. You live in a split or a paradox, because it's a medium realm where all of the elements on the periodic table can occupy this space. Because this is a transitional space where all of the elements move through here to go to where they going. And since all of the elements move through here, and think about it, I told you earlier about all them different cars on the road. All them, you got 4 different roads meeting up at an intersection. And each of that traffic coming from a different location, meeting at one spot. That's what's going on here at the earth we live in. Earth, wind, water, and fire met up. And where it intersected, life started to be born here. And this is the only place where you can have this kind of life, because this is the only place where all of the elements in the cosmos can occupy the exact same space. This is the crossroads. Everything, Earth is a meeting ground. All of the humans' energy, elemental energy, this is where we meet up at. Like nothing can escape this place. Not even the elements. You know, you have to move through here, through the elements, to reach that center hyperboloid. And that would be another way of saying, if you wanted to get to the hole at the middle of this oscillator, you would have to go through the energy field. Your hand will have to pass through that electricity. And that's what's happening. Your electrical energy, the spiritual essence of what you are, passed through an oscillator. And you were solidified. And now you're here. But as your energy journeys through this lifetime, it's going to re-enter the eye and go back through the ethereal point from which it came. Something separated the waters from the waters. And this earth egg can be seen as a giant oscillator that separated that dark ethereal realm from this realm. When you go to the middle of the earth, you reach that same ethereal realm that exists on the outside of the earth. Just that's what this Ankh is showing you. The ethereal realm outside of the electrical field, and the one inside of it that is the negative space of the electrical field. The North Pole is the hole of a donut. So what I'm telling you is, that donut hole is the places where all of the degrees surround, being a donut ring, intersects all of the energy to a single point. If I tell you to, let's do this so you can see what I mean, right? If I tell you to look at the donut ring, you can only look at one aspect of the ring. You can only focus on this part of the ring, this a degree of the ring. Now, you can't see this electrical ring as a whole thing, because when you start to look at this as a whole thing, well, you're really looking at the whole. That's why it's called a whole, because the whole is the whole. You can't see the electrical energy as whole. You think you're seeing it as whole, but you're really looking at this. You can only focus on 1 degree. You can, if I tell you to look at this electrical arch, you can only focus on 1 degree at a time. But if I tell you to look at the entire thing as one thing, your focus will shift to this middle part. See how that works? See how that works? Because it's the pivotal point. The point that's beyond definition or degrees is 0 degrees. You can look at that whole as one thing easily. But you can't look at the ring as one thing easily. Because the ring is 360 degrees. Whereas the point is just, it is what it is. I am that I am. That's God. You can see it as one thing. Right? If I draw a dot on a paper, it is what it is, just a dot. But if I draw a circle, we can have a discussion on different aspects of the circle. Which degree? Where I started the circle from and where I ended it from. Being 0 degrees back to 360. The circle is biased. The circle is a symbol expression of the dot. But it's not the dot. It was started from the dot. Every circle starts from a dot, people. If I tell you to draw a circle, guess what you're going to do? Make a dot first. You're going to do this. Hold on, let me get a bigger pencil. If I tell you to draw a circle, the first thing you're going to do is make a dot first. The first thing you're going to do is make a dot. Now, once you make that dot, you're going to start at that dot and you're going to finish at that dot. The circle is just an echo of the dot that started it. This became the Ouroboros eating its tail. The dot comes before the circle. The dot represents the entry into the unknown. The dot is the portal. Think of a sewage lid open. That's the dot. The dot comes at the end of every sentence. We call it the period. The classes are separated by periods, and at the end of each period, a bell rings. This is symbolism. The dots represent the end of the cosmos, people. I told you that the dots are in the center of the earth. We call it the North Pole. You see, the red dot, the bullseye, shows you how the circle was found. That represents, see, that's the pole at the middle of the tent. It ain't no tent without that pole. Just like it ain't no circle without the dot. Can you make a circle without making a dot first? Nope. Impossible. I would like to see somebody draw a circle without starting at a dot first. How would that even look? So that dot represents the beginning and the ending, because the circle started from this. So in essence, the circle itself is nothing but a big echo of that dot. See, it's a fractal code and it keeps going outward like a ripple effect. And it keeps spiraling outward from that dot. But what you're looking at is vibration. And that's what Tesla was tapping into. All right. So now that we got that out the way, that dot at the middle of the ought to have more meaning to you now. It's the pivotal point that allow the energy to bend around it. You see, And it's often ignored as well. It don't get enough credit. Like, no one gives a crap about a doggone period. But if it weren't for periods, your book will be a huge sentence that just runs on forever with nothing to separate it. You see how we ignore the things that matter the most? Like, you use your computer every day, but you don't give a crap about the recycle bin. But imagine a computer without a recycle bin. It'll become unusable because it'll fill up with so much crap that can't get rid of it, no place to get rid of it. You wouldn't be able to use it no more. It'll be so much stuff on your desktop that you won't even be able to see the desktop. It'll crash without that recycle bin that you ignore all the time. So what would happen without the woman? Because we ignore her all the damn time. Women, I'm gonna put my cape on right now. Because the woman or the goddess represent this center of magnetism. She represent the pivotal point where all energy enter and exit. But we don't pay her no mind. We don't give a fuck about women. We don't love them hoes, even though you wouldn't be here without them. And that's kind of like the mystery of what happened to the science of the divine feminine and electromagnetism. This is why they had to curse the goddesses, man. This shit will empower everybody on all levels. Or it can curse everybody on all levels, and the woman gonna bear the most of the brunt because she's the portal. All right, so I want to finish reading this story of Ogo. See, Ogo wanted to become the same. Ogo is the dude breaking into Alma's egg. Ogo is you and me. We're Ogo. See, you was the sperm cell that broke into your mama's egg. And when you say mama's egg, the Dogon just called it Alma's egg. See, micro and macro play off at the same time when you reincarnate in between lifetimes. A paradox is happening, which is you. You're the paradox. Okay? You pushing and pulling at the same time. You exist as an egg pulling energy toward yourself. You are an egg inside of your mama, pulling the sperm to you. And you're also a sperm pushing and pressing toward the egg. So once the body ain't there to hold the subconscious and consciousness together on this earth plane, they split and they journey the cosmos to reconnect in the form of the sperm and the egg. So your mama gonna always meet your daddy. Your mama gonna always meet your daddy because it's you doing it. Now let me get a break. I'll be right back. So, we talking about how everything is split when you leave this realm. Even you. When you leave the body, you're split. You don't exist as one thing. You exist as a fragment of things trying to reconnect with itself. All right? So once all of that invisible energy is separated from the body, it reconnects simultaneously as the body is formed, using the body as the pivotal point. So if you can think of all the different energy that composes the human and all the different elements, they all recombine in the body of the woman, which inside of her body, in the body of, they recombine as the body of the baby. The human body is the pivotal point of all the different magnetic energy that composes the infinite soul. Somebody may want to write that down, because if you know, you think about it. Neil deGrasse Tyson get paid to talk like this, what I'm talking like, but he telling you pseudoscience, and I'm giving you some real philosophy that one of them old school ancient gurus would have gave you. See, people like me should be going around speaking like this, making millions, but the truth has been reduced to just, I hope I get a few damn donations on YouTube. Ain't it sad? When a reverend can pay for a $60 million jet giving a lie. And you wonder why people will sit up there and say, fuck it, I know the truth, but man, shit, man, hey, the lie feed my family, man. Hey, I gotta do what I gotta do. And you can't really blame them, because they can say, well, shit, you're a doctor, or you work at fast food, or you're a policeman. So what? I lie to people about Jesus, you know. I gotta feed my family in this matrix, you know. And y'all ain't gonna do it if I tell them the truth. And guess what? They right. You know. Now I got to give a big shout out to my people, because y'all do a good job of supporting me. But I'm just saying, you know, you know, that's true in a way, because I make less money telling the truth than I would, you know, just going to the damn army or finishing up my, you know, National Guard contract and shit. You know, they're giving your children thousands of dollars just to sign a contract. People will call you a shield for getting a $5 donation for telling the truth. So this is why the truth ain't popular, because the system of capitalism endorses the lie. Okay, so you need to understand that aspect of this stuff too, so you don't be like, man, why it ain't a lot of people breaking it down like Bro Sanchez? Ain't nobody finna, man, I took a sacrifice. I can't really go back into the workforce, you know. But a lot of people ain't gonna associate themselves with, you know, flat earth and all that, telling the truth, man, and give up their damn 6-figure a year job to barely get donations, you know, and shit. So you gotta understand what's got the truth on standstill for so long. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the sad thing about it. Now let's talk about Ogo, because Ogo, going back to Alma's egg, is the journey of the self, higher self, trying to reconnect back with the lower self, the form, the central self, which is the human body solidified in the mother. Captain Planet told you this, how all the planeteers represent an element or degree of the circle, and they come to a pivotal point that manifests Captain Planet, which is you, because Captain Planet is Ka and Ptah in the plane net, Ka and Ptah in the netted plane. You're inside, you're inside of a netted plane, and your Ka and your Ba is combined in the body. The body acts as a pivotal point for the infinite energy that really is you, that exists in all the corners of the cosmos. You exist as a layer, just like I told you. All of the elements occupy their own layer of the cosmos once you go into macrocosm. You are an element. Every human is a unique element. When they ask you how many elements it is an infinite amount of elements that was born from those original four. Any different combination of the periodic table can create a different element, a different gas, and it's an infinite amount of combinations. So how many elements are there again? An infinite amount. You can do you know how many combinations you can you know, this shit is infinite. Science will never stop. figuring out shit. So each human is a different combination of the elements. I can't duplicate Malcolm X, man. The combination got to be just right. The recipe got to be just right. If they try to clone him, they can one little thing and mess it up and it won't be the same Malcolm X, you know. He didn't smile the same or his laugh didn't sound the same. Very intricate combinations of the elements to create each and every unique human. So when you leave the body, that unique essence that put those elements together in the right combination to form you exists in its own layer of the cosmos, and it will put those elements together again to form you again. Every human is a combination code, and when your number is called, you come in existence and out of existence. Every human is made of the same elements, but our spiritual energy blend those elements together in a unique way inside of our mama to give each one of us our unique voice, sound, looks, vibration, and everything. If I told everybody to write the number 7, it'll be the same symbol in different ways. This is how you get infinity. Something that's the same and different would be a paradox. The sperm is different from the egg, but they the same thing. They both of them are you. They both come together to make you, which is one thing, not different things. But outside of the body, you're different things and the same thing. And that's the paradox. You're different things. You're a sperm, you're an egg, you're electric energy, you're magnet, you're so many different things. But the same thing is all different fragments of you. And when they all reunite, you start swelling up a woman's belly, solidifying in Midgard. Because this is where all the elements reunite at. Now, where you reunite on this grid depend on what state, city, continent, on this infinite plane you re-solidify in. But when you die, you go inside of the ground in whatever city you from. They bury you in your hometown. And when you reincarnate, you born in a different part of the plane. You never, you know how hard it is to be born in the same spot twice when you keep born in and out of an infinite plane. You can, what's the odds of you landing at the same longitude and latitude every time? The same hospital. So I think you have different versions of the same experience based upon different parallel worlds, what they call it. So this is string theory. This is connecting the dots, because if you are a reincarnating soul that's continually to be buried in the ground, then your tombstone exists as connect the dots. All of your previous lifetimes, there's a tombstone somewhere on this infinite plane that got all of your previous lives, each tombstone. And even though we on an infinite plane, by you being born in and out of these different areas of the plane, burying your body, you can connect back with different parts of this infinite plane. So every human is making your own star map. And you can go and reload these different locations because you've been there before. And other places you going to, you locking them in your memory. So when you die and leave them, they're in your data bank now. And the more you travel the cosmos, the bigger your star map get. You see, we're recording information along the way. All of your previous lifetimes can be seen as tombstones all scattered across this infinite plane. And if you connect them all, it'll make a sacred symbol that represents the essence of what you are. It'll look like your fingerprint. So your fingerprints would look like your star map. It'll look like the vibrational essence of what you are in a sound recording program. See how unique we are and how the same and how much the same we are? So when you read more about Ogo entering Alma's egg, it said that what led Ogo to enter in the egg is that Ogo wanted to become the same deity as Alma and shoot out from the cosmos to find his own system. That's what you did. They call you a fallen angel. And you got to think about it. When you exist as one with the source, again, there is no definition. There is no definition. All right? And the moment the source seeks definition is when humans are formed and worlds are formed simultaneously, because it's a fractal code. In other words, think of a tree. Think of this huge tree. And inside of this tree, hiding in its branches and leaves, is a huge family of birds. Now close your eyes right now and imagine that you're one of the birds that exists in this family of birds, and we got this huge tree, man. We got us a good bushy tree, and it's got a lot of shade in it and all these branches. It's like a greenhouse up in here. And we flying around the inside of this tree from branch to branch, from house to house, going over my cousin's house. I'm going to go down here to this bottom branch down my auntie house. And we ain't never got to leave this tree. Because our food, we got worms crawling on the branches. You know, we got a whole city up under this tree, in this tree branches, in this shrubbery. You ain't never got to leave this tree if you don't want to. But listen what I'm going to tell you. From this inside of this tree, every bird see the tree from the same perspective. When you look out, all you see is green from every side, because you inside of this tree. And every bird look out and see nothing but green leaves. It's like a dome of green, a green dome. And every now and then there's cracks in those green leaves where the sunlight is coming inside of our little bushy tree. And that can be seen as the starlight. And the leaves can be seen as the Taurus field that these birds are in. These birds ain't got to never leave the tree. And they'll wonder, what is that light coming in from those green leaves? And that'll be the light of the sun bleeding in the shrubbery. Now, every bird will look out and see green, just like every human look out and see blue, called the sky. Now, what happens when one of those birds fly out of the tree and look back at the tree? It now sees definition. It now looks back at home as one tree. But from inside of that shrubbery, it couldn't see nothing but green. This is us inside of this Alma's egg, looking out at the sky, out at the stars. Once you go in that area, you can see the egg. Now, when you exist in the macroverse and you're one with the source, you exist in an infinite state and you ain't bound, because you're not within any boundaries. The boundaries would be the egg. So this story of Ogo, before Ogo entered the egg, Ogo existed in an infinite state, one with the source. Ogo existed in an area that was boundless. What led Ogo out of this boundless area to go inside of this egg, which is a box with boundaries? Ego. Ego. The name Ogo is the word ego. Ego is what drives the soul into the physical reality. Ego is what makes the Most High in its infinite state says, I want to look in the mirror. Why? Because you think you so pretty. Ego. And once you look in that mirror, guess what you just did? Split yourself up, man. That's what the Most High did. The Most High got some ego. Yep, I said it. The Most High developed ego. And the Most High said, man, you know what? I want to go look in the mirror, look at my looks. And when the Most High did that, the Most High split infinity up. And that mirror result was every human, every conscious thing. So the Most High is a beautiful doggone thing, ain't she? I'm glad she looked in that mirror and divided that beauty up, boy. Because look at you, look at me, look at the children, look at around, look at that. It won't be visible if infinity never perceived itself. So here's the thing. Infinity is subconscious. It don't have a perception of self. You see, it don't have an individual perception. It exists in simply a state of Zen. You wouldn't know what that is. That's a space, that's a gray area where it's a miracle spot, man. Where if I ask you, is it hot or is it cold, you wouldn't know what to tell me because it's a warm spot. It's where the yin meets the yang. That's where the serpent lives. See, the crazy thing about it is the subconscious has no perception of self. When the subconscious develops a perception of self, it's split from itself. Why? Why? Listen. Listen closely. The subconscious is what gives birth to the conscious self. Okay. What are we saying? The subconscious don't have a perception of self. So when the subconscious does develop a perception of self, that perception of self can't coexist with the subconscious. Therefore, that perception of self that is illusion that the subconscious is perceiving can only exist in the form of the conscious self. I'm going to say it one more time slowly. The subconscious has no perception of self. So when the subconscious develop a perception of self, that perception of self cannot coexist with the subconscious. Therefore, we call it the conscious self. But it's born from the subconscious. Now, once the conscious self realizes it's born from the subconscious self, once the human realizes I don't gotta be walking, I got a car over there, then the human and the vehicle becomes one. And the human stop walking, getting your feet tied, because hey, you got a Merkaba, a solar vehicle, a subconscious, a submarine that can transport the will and desire and energy that exists in the form of consciousness. Until you realize that the subconscious is the higher self, the vehicle that you use to transmit your conscious self will be Jesus, Allah, Buddha, an ecstasy trip. Anything other than your subconsciousness, which is the submarine that the consciousness use to come in and out of the physical realm. So the sperm would be the conscious and the egg would be the subconscious. So the egg would be the pivotal point that don't move, but the sperm is moving toward the egg, right? Just like the pivot foot that's moving around, the moving foot that's going around the pivotal foot is moving toward the pivotal foot. Okay? As you balance yourself and you move in the circuit on that pivotal foot like I was doing, the both of those feet gonna come back to a point when he take the shot. You just using that to pivot with, to move around and gain balance. But once he do his little move and all that, then he stopped pivoting and they both is now together to take this shot. We shoot off into the ether when the conscious self combined with the subconscious, what they call a macabre. A macabre without the conscious spark in it is like a car without a driver. So you can look at your solar vehicle as an empty car parked in a parking lot while you walk around a plane called Earth. When you die, the conscious spark that is using this body is now going to transition back to the car that parked outside, okay, to be here. You don't take the car into the store. You park the car in the parking lot and you walk into the store. So the stars are the parked cars, which is the solar vehicles. We are the stars. Each star is a human. And the crazy thing about it is looking back at those stars is looking at how we all broke into Alma's egg. So if you look at this story of Ogo or ego, this is every human coming to the earth. And when you look at the stars, you looking at that opening that you broke into this egg. And when you look at them stars, you looking at the hole that you entered here. You made them holes. We made them holes up there called stars. We the stars. Had we not broke into this egg, wouldn't be no stars. So every human is shining in micro and macro, and in between we supposed to shine on this stage called Earth. So what I'm doing, I'm showing you how they took the story away. We ain't, man, look here, this series gonna go on for a while because it's a lot to cover here. Let's learn some more about Ogo breaking into the cosmic egg. See, because what they telling you here, the creator in an infinite state don't have no perception of self, because in an infinite state there is no individual. It is what it is. Now, when you say is singular and plural. Think about that. Is is singular and plural. Think about how you use the word is. What is right? What is wrong? It's always occupying a middle spot. And it's so ignored, but it's so important. It's a word, it's a two-letter word that balances the scales. Now, check this out. What if I say, what right, what wrong? See what I'm saying? Is ties it together. What is right? What is wrong? Why do we use is in the middle? What is up? What is down? Why does is serve as this two-letter word that tie together the worlds? Okay, is the name of God. Because what you're dealing with when you talk is, see what I'm saying? You see, what you dealing with when you talk about is, when you say it is what it is, that became the name Isis, which is one of the primordial goddess in Kemet. Is, or it is what it is Isis. You know, so what we want to pay attention to with this Ogo story and dealing with the ego, right? So Ogo started a cosmic flight 3 times. For the first time, Alma turned Oga's ship into the earth. For the second time, Ogo moved on the ship, impaled by the wind, canned into proceeds. Afterwards, Ogo entered the earth, and now Afterwards, Ogo entered the earth and now exists as the energy inside our planet. What's the energy inside our planet? Everything that you can put your hands on. It's the energy inside your planet. From a chip bag polluted on the ground to the very wind you breathe. Every single tangible physical thing that composes this reality is energy. So what is this story telling us? The different phases that energy takes before it solidifies. And it's just a beautiful way of saying solid, liquid, gas. Did you notice the three-step trinity before Ogo can make full manifestation upon the earth? See, Ogo was leaving a split. What split was Ogo leaving? Well, once Ogo split from the mother, because when you read the story, Ogo was one with infinity. Ogo was one with the source. But Ogo or ego is what led Ogo and divided Ogo from the source. Because Ogo wanted to understand. Listen to this. Ogo wanted to understand what it already was. See, as the creator exists in an infinite state, it doesn't seek understanding. The moment the creator in this infinite state says, I want to understand this or understand that, a paradox is formed. And there's an emission in the darkness of conscious energy. Because when the creator say, I want to understand something, it can only stand under itself to get that understanding. Do you hear me today? Do you hear me today? The creator don't need no understanding from the seat of the Most High. When the creator seeks understanding, it got to go beneath itself and stand under the dome and walk around the earth to understand that which it created. It didn't have to understand it when it was created. It did it subconsciously. In other words, the reality you living in wasn't nothing that the creator did by measuring the recipes right and saying I need 400.3 milliliters of water and 3 liters of fire to make the perfect plant. There's no equation for this. This is what infinity is. It is what it is. It's simply just this. It's done. The math is infinite. There's no subtraction needed. There's no addition needed. Therefore, physical reality is the breaking down of infinity. That's when the math starts to be created. Do you think the Most High used math? Think about what I'm saying. Do you think the creator used math to create the cosmos? Or was it a subconscious act? Like, do your heart use math to know how many beats per second to get the blood pressure pumped just right throughout the body? Is it drawing out equations? Does your heart got a pencil and pen saying, okay, let me make sure I pump enough blood to the toe? It's subconscious. It's automatic. You use the math to understand it, but it don't use the math to do what it do because it is what it is. You use the math to understand, but the Most High in its infinite state don't seek understanding. It simply do what it do. Keep the balance and divide the waters from the waters perfectly even. And there's no equation. There's no, there's no real math behind it. Nature don't got a calculator. Man uses these tools to understand this subconscious action. But man in his subconscious state wouldn't even need a calculator. You see? In other words, Ancient people didn't build structures with calculations, and therefore their living areas were perfectly made to suit the dimensions of their body. So if you look at primitive technology videos, when they're building their houses, the door is made just so they can walk in and fit in it. Like, it ain't this huge ass mansion with a fucking 3-time big door, you know, like some of these celebrities got. If you was building it yourself, you would be very modest because it's a lot of work. You're going to build just what you need. So I say that to say that, and I forgot why I was bringing that up. But what I'm saying is, everything is calculated subconsciously when you do it, what they call primitively. When I look at these primitive technology videos and these people building houses and stuff that I be showing you out in the jungle, you don't see them with measuring tape. You don't see them with levelers. You don't see them with blueprints. And just to give you a quick peek of what I'm talking about, I'll do that for you. Give you a good example. All right, these guys are building some of the most beautiful structures, and you don't see them with measuring tape. You know, you don't see them using levelers and all that. Okay? You don't see birds and animals using measuring tape. The calculations are done subconsciously. You know, this is perfect measurements. Look at this perfect base of this, a perfect square. And if you watch him start it off, the square don't look perfect. When he dig in the little hole, it looked like a jagged square, don't look so perfect. But when the structure is complete, the eyes put it together perfectly. There are no calculations. The body knows how to even out the corners of the structure, just like a bird know to keep adding sticks till I make a balanced little, you know, circle where they all balancing out. You feel me? And they all leaning on each other in a spirit. The bird don't need measuring tape. So what I'm telling you here is that nature is math. It doesn't use math. Once man separate himself from the source, man now uses math to understand the source, because man is nothing but the source saying to itself in an infinite state, I want to understand something that it already was. Y'all get what I'm saying? Let me get some feedback from the chat if y'all get what I'm saying. Like, the Most High exists in an infinite state that it doesn't need to seek understanding. In an infinite state, when the Most High decides to understand anything, we call that a human. Since the Most High in its infinite state knows everything, it can only seek understanding by creating a lesser form of itself called a human that doesn't know it all. This is very necessary because this is the only way that the Most High can experience its own creation unbiasedly. If the Most High were to come upon the earth bringing the knowledge of the all into the body, then the reality wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be, it'll be the equivalent of the people who program the Mario game playing the game. Let me tell you some people. If I program Super Mario Brothers, there's no way I'm gonna lose. Now the people who buy my game that I program, they gonna keep falling in holes. The monster gonna keep getting them. It's gonna take them a lot of men to beat my game. But since I created the game and programmed it, if you watch some of the creators of Mario play Mario, they beat the entire game on one single man. No bullshit. Watch the programmers play Mario. They run through the whole damn game. And I saw one of them do it without even using the mushroom. Beat the entire Mario game as a small man. Beat the entire Mario game with no mushrooms, no fireballs, no stars, with a small man from board one all the way to the end. Look it up on YouTube. People who program these games, they don't fall for the tricks like the government, right? They the controllers of the matrix. They don't fall for the tricks. So that's what I'm telling you. If the Most High was to come play the game as a programmer, you'll be seeing humans fly and do all kind of crazy shit that'll make the place kind of non-balanced. You won't be able to tell the difference between ethereal and non-ethereal. So this earth represents a place of limitation where the creator in its unlimited state can have a place where it can experience limitations. Yeah, when you say if you exist in an unlimited state, why would you want to, exist in a limited state? That's like saying if you built the building, why wouldn't you want to walk inside of it? So check this out. The people who program the game, Mario, they don't review the damn game. They get regular people who did not program the game to give an unbiased review. So that's what I'm telling you. The Most High come into this reality in a have knowing, have unknowing state called a human. We don't know everything. The moment a human know everything, the moment the body start occupying too much ethereal space. The knowledge of the all is what composes the ethereal realm. Now, to say that a human know everything is to say infinity can fit inside of a box. It can, but it can only exist in a limited state in that box. It can only exist beneath itself in that box. Think of a bubble inside of a bubble. The bubble that's inside of the bubble gonna always be beneath the outer bubble. When the creator comes into this reality, it crosses a threshold, and once it crosses that threshold, everything it knows becomes deleted, and it have to be ignorant, and it have to be a baby. See, here's the thing. The creator created this realm, and it wanted to experience its creation. It wanted to feel what it's like to bathe in a waterfall. Think about it. The creator created roses, honey, sex, entertainment, music, the breeze on your back in a beautiful summer day. How is the creator going to experience its own creation? It has to create a lesser ignorant form of itself within the creation that would be created, that would be bound to the elements of the creation and the rules of the creation. Whereas the creator itself isn't bound to its creation. Listen to me. The creator isn't bound to its creation. It's connected to it. And it can only experience its creation in an ignorant state. Think about it. If you were one of the software programmers that created the Mario game, you wouldn't want to play that shit every day. You wouldn't want to play it every day like regular people. You spent years programming the damn game, and when you do play it, you can fucking beat the whole game with one man. It's not fun to you. So if you program the Mario game, it'll probably be fun to you to play somebody else's game that you did not program because you don't know the mysteries of it. You don't know exactly where to jump to not get bit. You don't know how to escape this jump right here in order to win because you programmed the game. So the creator created this place. It can't come here and really enjoy it as the creator. It has to come here as part of the creation to experience the place in an unbiased way. And that's how humans are formed. Different fragments of the Most High, and all of us get to explore and experience this place. And we're not experiencing it alone. The Creator is connected to the creation. So if you have a bad day, the Most High is having a bad day as you. And somebody else having a good day at the same time, the Most High having a good day as them. The Most High, the Creator, is experiencing its creation through everything in existence. We all may appear to be having a different experience, but the Creator is having one experience through everything. And everything is having a different experience, feeding that different experience back to the one source so it can hear the many infinite complaints of itself. When the Most High fragmented itself into conscious beings, it became blades of grass, trees, birds, humans, and everything else as an attempt to experience its creation on different levels. So when the Most High said, I want to see what it's like to live up under the ground, it became worms and underground animals, termites and moles. Then the Most High said, I wonder what it's like to live in the oceans of my creation. So the Most High put its consciousness in all the fish and made animals, fishes, to explore its oceans. And the Most High said, I want to see what it's like to, walk around the land, enjoy the scenery, and maybe swim in one of them waterfalls. What would be a good vehicle to explore? And the Most High found out that the human body with 2 arms, 2 foot would be a suitable enough vehicle to transmit its consciousness in to come here and explore the place. And lo and behold, you got these little stinky, pooting, farting little creatures called human beings. That's nothing but external hard drives of the source. Nothing but antennas transmitting an experience back to the motherboard, back to the source. And it's constantly adjusting this place because it's a work in progress. It's an expanding universe, what they call it. But what's expanding is the consciousness. And as we gain more understanding, the Creator, the all-knowing aspect that created it all, can understand what it's like to not know. See, for the Creator to be all-knowing, it has to know how not to know. And I know I'm being redundant now, but you can't be all-knowing if you don't know how not to know. The part of the Creator that knows how not to know is the human. We don't know every damn thing. That's our gift. And we need to see it that way. Because if we knew everything, the human wouldn't be no need for the human. The human is what happens when the Most High that knows everything dilutes that all-knowing and say, okay, I'm going to let you know a little bit, him know a little bit, him know a little bit, him know a little bit. So the Most High exists as a one all-knowing state. But when it exists as a plural state, a fragmented state of infinity, it exists as the creation. So in order for the creation to see the Most High from this position of reality, everything in creation have to sync together on one accord with the code of the cosmos. That was once the reality on earth, and it was like the Garden of Eden. It was a magical place. There was no war. It was even in some of the mythologies, they said that when you went in some of these forests, all of the animals was on such one accord, there was no predator prey, that the sounds were synced together to make musical masterpieces. You got to keep in mind, there's so many animals that's gone extinct because of man that the noises in nature have changed. So when we listen to the sounds of nature, there's instruments missing from the soundtrack. You don't hear the complete song. When you went into the forest in the real world before it was tampered with, it was real music. You only got like 4 more players left now. So the song is incomplete. Plus, we stopped singing with the animals because we started eating them. If you can hear what the earth would sound like in a real, natural, non-corrupted state, you wouldn't need music industries. Life would be a song. Your very actions in synchronicity with the environment around you would make music. So we're going to wrap this up because we don't want to go beyond 4 hours for these. And I just want to just wrap some more things up about Ogo, and we'll finish the rest in part 2 of this series. So we read the trinitary actions that took place for Ogo to manifest inside the planet. It was 3 steps. And that's basically all we wanted to realize. So Amma put under care of first man, Nomo, to populate Earth on a ship which contains everything existing on the Earth. So what am I telling you? This Nomo is nothing but the seed of humanity. Now, this Nomo or humans was put inside of a ship that contained everything we'll need in that ship. Now, if you look at this image, what I've done in paint, what I'll do is I'll show you what they're telling you about. This finna get very interesting. You read? Did you hear what I just told you? I'ma put humanity inside of a ship, and in that ship contain everything we need. Here's the ship, people. Here go the ship right here. Tell me this don't look like a ship, folks. I'ma put us in this ship, and everything we need is in this ship. Everything we need is in this ship. See, our Earth planetarium looks like a ship, and it is selling the magnetic waters of Nu. You can't feel it. Now, I know this sounds like heliocentrism, but they stole it, people. They stole it from somewhere. We are in motion, but it's not the way they tell you. It's a spiritual journey. We'll talk more about that later. Write your notes if you have questions. We're going to have Q&A in the future. I will be live again today to have an open panel. I'm not sure what channel I'm going to be live on, so follow all of my platforms. After this stream, I will have an open panel with the people, and it's just going to be a general one where we can talk about whatever we want to talk about and have Q&A and share some ideas. But we just read what they just told you now. Let me say it again now. Amma put under her care the first man to populate Earth on a ship which contained everything existing on the Earth. Everything that exists on this Earth is contained within the Earth ship that we was planted inside of. Sound familiar? Look at the Hebrew cosmos on the left. It looked like a big old ship. And man is inside of this ship with everything he needs to sustain himself if he just take care of it. Now, what keeps all of the things man need to sustain himself renewed inside of that ship is the hole in the middle of the ship that connects man to the source. Now, that hole is stirring up the elements inside of man's terrarium, And if man just, live a natural way, a green way, connected with, in unison with nature, it'll sustain itself because it's constantly renewing itself with that stirring. But what man can do is create ways to empower his city and his environment that goes against nature instead of in unison with the toroidal flow. And that's what we've done now. And the reason we've done that now, because nobody want to admit that flat earth is the truth today, because flat earth truth will empower each individual and not just world governments and royal families that rule you with space programming. The space they created was in between you and the Most High. It's up to you to say, hey, ain't no space in between me and the source. You're full of shit, and I no longer subscribe to your programming. This story that the Dogon read is flat earth cosmology, placing man inside of the earth terrarium ship with everything he need to sustain itself. It couldn't have been said more better than that. It goes on to say he was cycling for 8 periods across the sky from east to west, bending sometimes to north, sometimes to south, occupying all sky as a rainbow girding the earth. Let me show you a picture of what that would look like. I'm going to show you guys a picture of what that would look like. This is from the actual story. And this is why I drew this in paint. This is what they said, what was the result of that energy? What is it? It's the all-seeing eye. I just showed you the Tesla coil, the oscillator. This is a magnetic torus field from a top view. All right? It's the same thing I got in the bottom right corner with paint. It's going to make a donut no matter which angle you look at it from because it's fractal. In other words, you can move all around this image and it's still going to look like an all-seeing eye, no matter if you're standing under it, on top, from the back, no matter what angle you look at it from, it's going to be a circle with a dot. Because if you look at what I did in paint, we looking at it from a different angle, but it's still four corners around that red dot. But if you was to fly above that circle, above that sphere, it'll look like this. It'll look like what you see on the screen now. And it'll look like itself from every angle. Even you're perceiving it from different angles, it's going to be the same thing. Think of standing in the mirror. Yeah, you got the same thing, different angles, but the same image. That's the paradox of life. Now you see why the stories say what it say, and it ain't just pseudoscience and ancient mythology. They was telling you about electromagnetism in a mythological way. So it read on to say that, like I said, it occupy all of the sky like a rainbow girding the earth, and that's the same thing. The human aura occupy the outer area of the body like a rainbow girdling around it. If I can find it. And I meant to wrap this up too with the barber pole. You got the firmament dome and the Sheol bowl with the North Pole in the middle. And the sun and moon is red and blue lights. That's the mystery of the barber pole. All right. Firmament dome, Sheol, and the pole. All right. And I spoke about this earlier. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but this barber pole is a paradox. It's if I ask someone, is that barber pole moving? And they say yes, they will be right. And if I ask them, is it moving? And they say no, they would be right. Because what composes the pole is all of these, the entire structure. So it's moving and it's still. And that's the whole secret of pivoting. When you pivot, You move, but you're still at the same, as a still aspect as well. So blending stillness with movement creates something called pivoting. And pivoting is piloting. All you got to do is replace the V with an L. Pivoting is piloting. This is how birds fly, by pivoting, creating pivotal energy. Okay, when you swim and your hands is creating this balanced motion like this spiral on the pole, balancing each side out to create a pivotal point which drives you forward. Because pivoting is piloting. Pivoting is piloting. All right, now let's move on. Here's your barber pole with the firmament dome at the top and the Sheol bowl at the bottom and the great mother spinning around in the middle, each side red shift, blue shift. It's all magnetism. All right, here's your scarab beetle. And all of this is the Big Bang, all right? Remember that. All of it is the Big Bang, showing you how things come into existence and leave out of existence. You study an explosion and you will be studying a lot. Start to look at explosions in slow speeds. They got a bunch of videos online. Look at things explode at very slow speeds and you can see how the cosmos is being created. It's a huge explosion. So it's an expanding universe, but not in the sense that the ground you walk on is moving outward. Consciousness is expanding. The simulation itself is expanding. The boundaries of this microcosmic version of infinity is expanding. Just like a ripple expands, and as the more that ripple expands, the more it connects with the total sea. It's an individual ripple, but as it moves outward, it vanishes and becomes lighter and it expands so far till it just reconnects back with the source. You're looking at a ripple effect now. This is a magnetic energy field. This is the artwork associated with the Dogon mythology. So as I continue to read that mythology, you read on and say that all of the energy combined around this huge circular rainbow that surrounds the sky, all of that energy entered into, say that Ogo entered into happy marriage with the earth. See, as Ogo was cycling the 8 periods across the sky from east to west, bending sometimes to the north, occupying all the sky like a rainbow girdling the earth, that is how he entered into the happy marriage with the earth. And another way you can look at that is that see, the sperm is circling around. They're surrounding this egg, and I guess they're looking for that sweet spot to enter. And wherever the sperm enters become the North Pole for that egg, the sky vault opening in hyperboloid. You are the center of your own cosmos. The moment you plug into the egg, you plug into the earth. It's a micro-macro synonymous act. So when you look at Ogo entering Alma's egg, it's the ethereal version of the biological sperm entering the egg. But they're both just as real. Now, let me read this so we can end. We're gonna end it on this, and we'll continue the series. So Ogo could not marry the energies of the earth until he completed that 8 period. He cycled the earth for 8 periods from east to west, and he bent in the north. Now, what are they telling you? Look at the image. You see how you got 4? See the vertical split and the horizontal splitting of this spear create 4 sections. but it's really 8 sections. As we look at it from this view, we see 4. Total is 8 sections, but you can only perceive 4 sections at a time. Okay? We're dealing with 5 dimensions here. It's really 8 sections, but we can only perceive 4 at a time. Now, another way you can look at those 8 is when Ogo was circling around Alma's egg through them 8 cycles, is basically talking about the eight pivotal points of the spirit. And what I'll do is I'll specify them to make it easy for you. See, now you can see the 8, right? They telling you this story. I'm gonna separate the 8 from you. I'm gonna give you 8 in blue. I'm gonna give you 4 of them. Hold on, I'm gonna give you 4 of the 8 in blue and 4 of the 8 in red. It's important that I do this. You'll see why. Stay with me, people. See, you got 8 now. You got 8 different separations. But, you know, it's depending on how you look at it, but I'm just showing you it's going to always be a paradox. You can see it as 4, you can see it as 8. You know what I'm saying? So, we can get into all of this in the future more with the symbolism of 8 and all of that, because it's deep. So when they tell, let me read this again. They tell you that Ogo was cycling for 8 periods across the sky. That different 8 different sections that you see on my diagram represent the different angles of the revolutionary circuit of the torus field. Once you divide that 8 by 2, you get 4, and that's why we have 4 seasons. All right, y'all still thinking with me? You got 8 periods, right? These 8 periods are divided by 2. Why? Sun and moon. And as the torus energy flow is constantly spinning, the ether is constantly spinning, those 8 periods are divided by the sun and moon. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. And you get 4 corners of the earth, 4 elements, 4 seasons. And I'm showing you why the 4 became the foundation, because it's the division of the 8. So those 4 corners is this in a dual state, you know. It's really 8 corners. I don't want to confuse you, you know. It depends. Remember I was telling you about perspective? So we'll get more into that in the future. I know y'all gonna hit me with questions. I'll be glad to answer. But it tell you Ogo was circling around Alma's egg for 8 periods from east to west, and sometimes he bent in the north. Why did he bend in the north? The energy bends into the hyperboloid where? Let me mark it for you. Let me mark it for you. This is why Ogo was bending in the north. Because Ogo was circling around Alma's egg, just like all the elements do, all the energy do. And he was going through that figure 8. Remember, all the elements following that pattern, that number 8 is infinity. So when you hear the number 8 in this mythology, with the Ogo following those eight cycles, it's because the number 8 is infinity. It's a cycle of 8. And the Ogo was slightly bent at the north where the snake bites his tail, the opening. All right? So Ogo manifested and became one with the earth by falling into the sky vault, into this plane. See what I'm saying? The darkness represent this primordial sea that Ogo was swimming in. And look at the sperm cells, right? We're going to compare this to the sperm cells. That's Ogo. Ogo is the sperm cell, the ego, right? The consciousness. So what you got to realize, oh, let me do this. Ogo was swimming around the ethereal plane. Ogo was swimming around this area, and Ogo realized that the only way he can enter the earth is by following the natural flow of the energy, which was a number 8. So Ogo went around this egg, and Ogo went around that egg until Ogo was able to decide on a proper pivotal point. You're talking about you entering the earth, but the sperm, wherever it enters the egg, becomes the North Pole of that egg. That's why they said every human at the center of your own cosmos, and we share one being the North Pole. In other words, every human journeyed to their own egg, but their own egg led them to this one place called the earth. That egg was a portal here. You are still a sperm living inside of an egg, and you're asleep inside of that egg dreaming this reality. When you die, the sperm will finally swim out of the egg and go to another egg. Nothing never really took place and ended. Time is a huge ongoing wave. Every action is an infinite repetitive action. It exists as a negative. Time is created by like a slideshow flashing images real quick. It's really still images that's moving. We call it time. So every action you take is a frozen image in time. So what I'm telling you is the point of time when the sperm penetrated the egg, that's when your clock started ticking on your own time. When you look at the Matrix and you see everybody sleep in their little tanks dreaming that they're walking around the Matrix, that's what you're doing. You're a sperm having a dream inside of an egg right now. The dream started with the hospital. That's what I was telling folks, that you got to grasp what's going on here, what we call in life, what reincarnation is. Nothing never really happened. All that exists is darkness and you dreaming it all. So the crazy thing, when the sperm came in contact with the egg, it started running a simulation called life and dreaming that it was being born in the hospital and up into this very moment right now. This is the dream of the sperm. Once the dream is over, the sperm leaves the egg, go to another egg, and you have a different dream in another part. It's unplugging and plugging in. The sperm is just a spark plug. It plugs out, plugs in. Now, everyone exists as a sperm and an egg that is all trying to come to this same place, though. So we all travel individual routes to the same place. That's why every human was a sperm and an egg, but that sperm and egg connecting led every human here. We took different journeys to the same place. We exist as different versions of the same thing, each human running their own life simulation. So what Ogo is telling you how the simulation began once you put the goggles on, virtual reality. Once you enter the eye, Once Ogo enters the eye, there's a threshold right here. They call it the event horizon. Right here is the event horizon. Once Ogo crosses this threshold, it no longer knows how to be a sperm and an egg. Dude, don't you get it? You don't remember being a sperm and egg, but you were. If I take you to a virtual reality game and I put on you some virtual reality goggles and you start living a virtual reality, and I trap you in that reality and I lock the goggles on and you can't take them off anymore. Don't you know after like 20 years, you will forget that you even had a life outside of them goggles? People will be looking inside of a box, looking at you running to the wall and everything. And you won't even know you in a virtual reality in a simulation. That sperm is inside of that egg dreaming a nightmare or fantasy. And that sperm is swimming around that egg and everybody looking in there like, man, he don't know that, know that is dreaming. Once the sperm crossed that threshold and enter that egg, it no longer is a sperm. Once the caterpillar completes the cocoon, from that point where it cloaks itself in darkness, it's no longer a caterpillar. It immediately begins to transform into a butterfly. And once it begin that transformation, it don't know how to be a caterpillar no more. And once it become a butterfly, it don't even damn remember its caterpillar days. All it know is I know how to fly right now. It don't know that it was the one gave itself the damn wings. It don't remember when it was making that cocoon and burying itself. And it went to sleep in that cocoon and it woke up as a butterfly and want to know where I get these wings from. And the butterfly flying around saying, man, the Most High gave me some wings, boy. And it don't know it was the Most High. It don't know it made the cocoon. The moment it started to transform, it forgot it was the wielder. It was the creator. And it became the creation, which is a beautiful butterfly. In order for it to fly, it got to be ignorant. The fact that it created this beautiful new thing. See how that worked? The moment that butterfly remember it's a caterpillar, it ain't gonna fly no more. It's gonna walk around the ground with wings on it. Somebody better hit the like button. It's resonating with me. So it's beneficial for the butterfly to forget that it was a caterpillar, because all it needs to know now is how to fly. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, buddy. This is knowledge, people. Come on now. Come on now. Once you cross that threshold, it's the point of no return. And the creator becomes the created. All right. So that's going to be today's lesson, people. And that's the story of Ogo or ego breaking into the cosmic egg. That's you and me. I hope you learned a lot today. I want to say it was beautiful, man. These mystery schools growing. They're going to continue to grow. The audience going to get bigger and bigger because we really breaking the mystery down here today. And I'm feeling so good. I'm going to have an open panel today. And we're going to talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. If you want to do that, hit the like button. So now we understand the mystery of the goddess. We understand that that splitting represents the multiverse. Okay? She's the connection in and out of the severed nature of reality. You perceive it as the whole. See, here's the thing. The Most High. Well, here's another way we can sum it up is this. You can only perceive reality as a whole or as different things that makes up the whole. I mean, I don't want to water it down. I did a good job of explaining it with the cars on the intersection and the pilot flying above. Based upon your perspective and where you occupy reality at in the cosmos is how you perceive it. When we're out of the body, we perceive reality the way the goddess have that spear split up. We enter the multiverse. And that's because you're now one with the ethereal plane. If in another way you can look at that is think of the polka dot pattern that I showed you in the previous episode. Once you exit one of those white little dots, you become one with that dark network of negative space outside the dots. So you perceive the earth like how you perceive yourself in the mirror, a reflection. But if you think of this, when you exist one with the source looking in the mirror, you look out across an infinite darkness of just what would be a fragmented version of the creator would be Alma's egg. A bunch of different of these little sperms inside of the egg, the genie in the lamp, that right there, the circle with the X inside of it, would be the only way that the creator could define itself in a symbol form. And therefore everything in nature have that same pattern. So when we talk about the multiverse, how do you multiply yourself? You stand in the mirror. And it goes back to what I told you earlier. The Most High wanted to behold its own beauty. And it looked in the mirror. And when it did that, it multiplied infinity. And the beautiful different reflections of infinity exist as me, you, the animals, everything. So this is very beautiful stuff that warms our heart up, reconnect us with nature so that we ain't alienated to the elements. We understand that the elements are making love to keep this very moment solidified, and that the earth is a wedding ground for all of the elements on a periodic table to create this sweet spot, this place where everything meets up. Hope you guys got a lot out of today's lesson. I want to take these last couple minutes to acknowledge the people that sent in super chat donations. And those people are my brothers and sisters. My brother Melodramatic said, thank you for helping me see clearly through my third eye. Much love and respect, Sanchez. Flat power, cosmology over everything. Much love, Melodramatic. I don't know how you didn't have a wrench over here, but I made sure I wrenched you up over here too. Appreciate the support, guys. Rugged G, thank you. Said, much love, bro Sanchez. Spit that truth. I'm going to continue to do it, no doubt. Alf Wiz, knowledge is power. Thank you so much for the super chat donation, $25. Appreciate that. Mind's Eye, fact power, flat power. Big love to Minds. I appreciate the support. Willie Lil John always coming through supporting, as always, dropping the money to keep the bills paid so we can continue doing what we do here. So yeah, we gotta have people taking care of that side of it. Everybody take a moment and thank everyone with me in the chat room. If we can get everyone in the chat room and just, you know, thank everybody who sent in the super chat donations, because these people, you know, along with many of yourselves, you know, you guys help this thing keep going. So I want to acknowledge that, and I'm gonna let you guys get on up out of here today. We just at 4 hours, so it's a success and another classic. So shout out to all my moderators, everybody in the chat room. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out of here if you didn't. Make sure you still got the notification bell check, and continue to share this awesome information. I'll see y'all later on today on one of my platforms. We're going to have an open panel. And yeah, peace and much love.